All right, everybody, welcome out to the Logroom Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey, just finishing up dinner.
What else is new?
Yeah, well, you know me. So I've always eat late. Make sure I've got something to eat before the show.
And you usually eat something that has to do with a day, don't you? I mean, that's normally what you do, right?
Yeah, it's National Barbecue Baby Back Spare Ribs Day.
Happy National Barbecue Baby Back Ribs Day. There you go.
I really wanted to go with the other day it is today, but I couldn't find any Welsh cheese. It's also National Welsh Rarebit Day.
It is also National Welsh Rarebit?
Yeah, I haven't had that in like forever. So there's no need to put a crawl for that.
No.
But so many people call it Welsh Rabbit Day. There's no rabbit.
It's not Welsh. It's not Welsh Rabbit Day. No. I'm sure I'm sure there's a couple of Welsh rabbits that would be happy to have a day, right?
Yeah, they're like big and fluffy though, the Welsh ones. Mm-hmm.
So just for good measure, happy National Welsh Rabbit Day. So there you go.
Yeah, there we go. I gotta make that one of these days. I just don't know where to find the proper cheese. I guess you can do it without Welsh cheese.
I mean, I'm sure you could. It's not going to taste exactly the same, but it's going to be close. Yeah. You know, just you to use something a little sharp, and yeah.
And for those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically beer cheese toast.
Pretty much, yeah. It's beer cheese over toast.
Over toast.
Okay.
Really good.
Yeah.
Still trying to talk Cloverleaf into putting it on their menu.
I'm shocked they don't or haven't once in a blue moon have had it.
Yeah.
The Welsh Rarebit, not the Blue Moon.
But now that dinner's over, I'm thirsty, John.
You're thirsty, so you want to drink. That's what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
All right.
So let's get the guests.
We have guests, multiple guests tonight.
Guests.
Get them on so we can actually start drinking. So,
yeah, because I don't want to start without them.
No, we can't. Well, we specifically actually can't tonight.
We actually can't.
And you'll find out why momentarily. So please.
Not like I haven't in the past.
First of all, this is true. First of all, please welcome to the show Todd Clement of Monkless Belgian Ales in Bend, Oregon. How are you, Todd?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we are great. And he is sitting there with Kat Reyes. Of course, as you know, she's been on the show many times. And we have another little side project going on with her, but that's for another show, like literally for another show. So
yes.
But in any event, so how's everything going, Todd?
Oh, it's going great. Just getting ready to head off on a trip to Belgium tomorrow. So it's going to be fantastic. A couple weeks there.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow. It's going to be too long to go through your hit list, or are you very targeted?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, before we go through his hit list, let's bring the other guest on. Please welcome also to the show, Marty Nachel from the International Beer Judge, beer writer, and founder and president of the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame. We'll talk more about that, of course, as we get on to it. How are you doing, Marty?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you all for coming on the show tonight. We're going to talk. Marty's going to be involved in a beer tasting we're going to do with Todd's beers from Monkless, and we're going to talk more about what Marty has done, is doing, and will be doing in the future after that. So,
and then
lots to talk about tonight.
So everybody knows this is the first time we've ever done 3 time zones. Right?
This is true.
Because we've got Todd's out in the Pacific, Marty's in the Central, Marty's in Chicago, right, Marty?
Yep, suburbs.
Suburbs? So
suburbs of Chicago.
Three
Anywhere near Shermer? Yeah.
Mm.
No, I'm kidding.
So this is the first for the show. 3 time zones on the show.
This is true. Many times there's been multiple time zones, but this is the first time, or 2 time zones, but this is the first time of 3. So very good, very good. All right, so Todd, let's start with you. First of all, any highlights of your hit list in Belgium?
West Veteran, of course. Ockel, I've always been a big fan of Ockel.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Not practiced anymore, but they've always loved their beers. So we'll visit both of those monasteries. So that'd be cool to. Those are kind of probably the top 2. I mean, West Mall, that'll be fun too. I could keep going, but
all of our eyes just turned green. Thanks.
Exactly. Thanks. Yeah. With envy. Yeah. Really quick, Brian Boak chimed in. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Brian.
We'll cheers you when we all get to our beers.
We'll cheers you back when we all get to our beers. All right, Todd, we want to move the show along. We want to. Normally, we open a beer first and then we start talking, but we're specifically going to be doing some stuff with beers. But I'm going to ask you a couple questions first, and then we'll jump right to the beers. I'm just curious. We ask everybody this question, and Marty will ask you later. But Todd, for you right now, what do you remember? What the first craft beer you ever had was?
I think it was a Deschutes beer. It was Cinder Cone Red. They don't brew it anymore. It was 04. It was right after we moved to Bend, and it's actually is probably the beer that really opened my eyes to craft beer and craft brewing. Really just love that beer.
Nice, very nice.
That's a great beer.
That's fantastic. Marty, I'll ask you now. What was yours?
I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty.
To the best of your recollection.
The couple that come to mind are Sierra Nevada Pale Ale,
Sure,
and Boulder Pale Ale. So
Boulder Pale Ale, very nice.
Yeah, it's funny because you asked that question and said you'd ask Marty. Then Marty's eyes went up and like you could see him go to the past. That's
Up over there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. You gotta love it.
Of the hundreds of thousands of beers that Marty's probably had in his lifetime, being a beer judge. Oof,
Right, exactly.
I can't imagine what the final number would be, and I'm sure you didn't keep track, Marty.
I have not. Unlike some people I know, I have not.
I know. Yeah, exactly. This is very true. All right, Todd, back to you. I want to. What first got you? Was it that beer? Was it that Deschutes beer that you had, or what was it that was actually the precipice of you saying, "I got to do this for a living"?
Yeah. Well, it took a while for me to say I want to do this for a living, but it was pretty short between wanting to start brewing on my own. After that beer, I would say within a few years. But what really kind of drove me was we moved to Bend in 04. Great craft beer scene, lots of phenomenal beers, but as you know, especially back in that time, for sure, really more hop driven, hop forward beers. That's really kind of what everybody here was doing for the most part. But I started traveling with my job at that time, and I was going to Belgium. I started going to Belgium, about once a year.
Oh wow!
And my first trip was in September of 2004. I was hanging out with a bunch of locals, and they were picking out beers for me every night. I'd go out to dinner with them, 4 or 5 nights in a row, not have the same beer twice, and just absolutely just loved all the beers. Really focused on, what I would call Trappist style ales, Abbey style ales, your triples, doubles, quads, dark strongs, those kinds of beers. And that's really kind of what made me go, there's something missing here in Bend. There's something missing in, in America overall, in my opinion, and especially on the West Coast. Nobody really focusing on styles of beers that I started growing to love. And that's kind of what brought me to it and brought me to starting to brew Belgian beers. I haven't brewed a single beer that wasn't of, I would say, Belgian kind of origin. The style.
John, we know somebody who would really appreciate that, huh?
I do. I'm aware of somebody that fits that description. Although he does brew other beers.
He does.
He's my partner at Coastal.
So Todd, you're going to Belgium with a boot on?
Oh yeah. That's
air travel sucks to begin with.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to do it with a boot, no leg room, and you have to wear a boot.
He's going to fill his boot with beer.
I see. Das Boot.
Das Boot. There you go. There's a reason for everything.
Unfortunately, I'm in a boot at the moment, but it's kind of is what it is, and the trip will still be great either way. So
yeah, of course,
absolutely.
Yeah, certainly, yeah, exactly. Can't cancel the trip because you're in a boot. So
yeah, you got some great rewards on the other side, don't you?
100%. Yeah. All right. So then, what was the that? When did you start Monkless? Like, when did you open Monkless?
As a second business, home business in 2014, but really kind of out and going, okay, quitting the day job and focusing on this. What happened in the middle of 2016? Mm-hmm. We opened up a spot with a 10-barrel brew house and opened up a little tap room off of that. Just started growing basically through the tap room and through distribution. So 2016 is where we started that, and then we just recently this year moved that location, closed it down, and moved into this current space that we're at, and have a 15-barrel brew house in here, and just kind of what we like to consider for our production side, which should be our our forever home. Kind of will keep us kind of cruising and be pretty much what we want it to be from here on out.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Very nice. That's awesome. Well, I'm super psyched, if you will, to get to enjoy some of these beers. So I don't know if you are, Dave.
I've poured my first already.
Have you?
It's sitting right here, and the aroma is killing me because I want to put this in my face.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So,
Right there. Here we go.
Cool.
why don't we kick that off? There you go.
I'm not drinking yet. I'm not drinking yet.
So
Right. Honors always go to the guests.
absolutely. So yeah, I'll put the crawl up. Todd, why don't you tell us a bit of the backstory of this beer, and then we can commence with the imbibing.
Okay, great. Yeah, this beer, it's a really interesting beer. It came about because of the fact that we're focused on Belgian styles, and people would come into the tap room and go, what's your IPA? I'll have your IPA. And I'd go, well, we don't brew an IPA. And that kind of got me to the point where I went, we brew a great triple. The Trinity is our classic triple, really kind of along the lines of what you'd expect from a West Mall kind of triple. That's kind of what my gold standard for that particular beer. But we went, if we dry hop the Trinity, I bet we'd have a really great beer. So we dry hop the Trinity with Citra and Hallertau Blanc, and it became Capitulation. So,
And the name now makes a lot of sense.
yeah, right. Yeah. So
Oh wow.
we gave in to the pressure of dry hopping a beer. I guess we didn't brew an IPA. We do one once a year, but for a special cause. But this one really was kind of capitulating to that need, but still at the same time trying to be true to our roots and go, we're going to dry hop our triple, and that's the way we're going to do it. So this beer, I can see Citra is going to be, it's like the main star kind of in this on the nose. You definitely get that tropical profile from it, and from those hops. A little bit of maybe a wine grape kind of character from the Hallertau Blanc that comes kind of through in the background. But at the same time, as you're drinking that beer, you definitely get the yeast profile. You get some of that yeast profile from that Belgian yeast, some of the spiciness that comes back on that back end of the palate. Mm-hmm. But it's just being dry hopped. It's 36 IBUs. It's really mild on the palate, and isn't something that's meant to provide any additional bitterness. But you get a little bit from the dry hopping.
I got to say, some of the yeast esters do come through on the nose very nicely, and I think that's what hit me first. Actually, was the yeast esters, and I love Belgian yeast esters, so that's why I was salivating this whole time. So
we're actually drinking a different version of that beer. Kat and I are drinking a draft only version of this beer. So a couple of weeks ago, we brewed Capitulation, so we brewed the Trinity, but instead of dry hopping with Citra and Hallertau Blanc, we dry hopped with Muteca and with Nelson Sauvin. So we call it Down Under, but it's not. It's a Down Under version of Capitulation. So
do you get stronger wine notes out of the Nelson Sauvin?
Oh yeah, we double dry hop that just to kind of give it a little bit of an extra punch, which we don't on that particular beer. Nice. On the beer you're drinking. But it turned out really nice. A lot of this one has definitely a bit more like the mango, kind of some of those profiles from Muteca, and then, but yeah, definitely a little bit of that like lime and gooseberry kind of stuff that you get from. It's
really nice. Yeah, the softer white grape from the Nelson. You can, Motueka can be aggressive with the lime. So was there more Nelson and less Motueka, or 50-50? Oh, you're more Motueka.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh, interesting. Well, cheers. Let's give this a taste.
Cheers. Wow.
Usually, when you're sitting at a meal, everyone's eating and no one's talking. That's a good thing.
It's a good thing, right? Yeah, 100%.
Well, we do have a professional taster on the show. So, Marty, why don't you give us some what you're getting out of this?
Let's throw it to you and take it over from this point, Marty. There you
go. Well, pretty much everything you guys have already talked about is true. The pungent hop aromatics, that's what came through first for me. Mm-hmm. I was actually kind of waiting for those to go away. I was looking for the phenolics from the Belgian yeast, because that's David, like you, I really appreciate those, or maybe like everyone here, I appreciate those very much. Came through very clearly, cleanly. The aromatics of this beer are just phenomenal. I love the idea of a dry hopped triple. Triple happens to be one of my favorite beer styles, so throwing more hop in it doesn't hurt me in the least.
Not at all.
I am curious. So, Todd, you said something about a draft version. Are you talking about this one?
So So we did a draft only version of it. We didn't put it in cans. The one.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah, we didn't can it because look at the label. It lists the hops on it, and since we just completely switched the dry hop out of it.
Right.
You said this is Citra and Hallertau Blanc, you said.
Correct.
Nice.
Very nice.
So I'm curious, Todd, do you think maybe the dry hopping may have, typically triples are very clear. This one is somewhat less so. You think the dry hopping caused that?
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen that in the past. Just kind of depends on. We actually don't clarify this beer at all. Whereas whereas the Trinity we do. Most of our other beers we do, but this one I just intentionally don't. I kind of like it. I like it to be a little hazy if it is every once in a while. No, it is what it is.
Yeah.
More capitulation.
Yeah,
exactly.
to the fan base. I got a question about the beer, because the mouthfeel that I'm getting in the wash, I'm trying to figure out if that's resiny from the dry hopping or the esters from the yeast, and I can't quite figure that out.
I'm getting a little of both.
Yeah, that's why I can't figure it out.
It's I was thinking that too, and it's like both of them are playing on my palate.
Yeah, I tend to get a bit of both, but I would say the dry hop character that tends to kind of add more to the mouthfeel to me. But I have the benefit also of knowing what the base beer, the Trinity, tastes like when it's not dry hopped, to actually reflect on, and then I can go, okay, I can see the difference. And we taste these two beers side by side. It's actually amazing. It's really neat to do that as a comparison, honestly.
Sure.
This is really cool.
It's definitely I'm liking it a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
It's hard not to like it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a huge Belgian beer fan. I'm a huge IPA fan. When I say IPA, I'm talking about IPAs. I'm talking about bitter resin, IPAs. Not I'll drink a New England. We brew many New Englands. Keep the lights on beers. This is fantastic. So kudos on this one.
Great, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Can't wait to tell Matt about this.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't get any.
Marty, any other notes?
A couple of things. I just wanted to ask Todd again. Can I assume you're making this with Pils malt?
Yes, Dingman's is the base malt basically that we use for this.
Very high percentage, probably.
There's a bit of. We do mix it, so on most of our beers we'll use two different Belgian Pilsners, because we've noticed efficiency issues if we kind of just go with one seems to be way higher than the other kind of thing, so we just kind of do it 50-50 on the two different Belgian Pilsner malts that we use, and then it's got a little bit of aromatic and a little bit of white wheat malt and about 8% sugar into the boil. And the rest of it is the yeast beforehand, of course, and then the dry hop character.
Yeah, I really love the yeast character, not just in the nose, but also on the palate. Mm-hmm. I also get like a real nice orangey tangerine type fruit flavor in there too. It's I'm accustomed to getting more like a lemon but this manifests as an orange, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, cool. That's great.
Yeah, I'm actually in. I was saying that. Yeah, I'm gonna get that citrus is in there, but yeah, I'm getting more.
Yeah.
Definitely more on the tangerine side.
Like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Reminds me a little of a pomander where you get a I don't know if you know what a pomander is, where they take like an orange or a tangerine and spike into the peel with cloves.
Ah,
So you're getting the phenols and that tangerine in there.
yeah.
And they usually would take those and they'd throw that into the punch. And that's what a pomander is for.
Interesting.
And then what they do is they'd fish it out of the punch. Someone could fish it out of the punch if they really like somebody. They'd walk up to them, pull a clove out with their teeth, and if the other person liked them back, they'd pull it out of their mouth. So basically, a way to kiss somebody.
Interesting.
That's a medieval thing. I'm a medieval nerd. At any rate, back to beer.
I didn't know there was the medieval word before that.
What?
Well, you're a medieval nerd. You said you were a medieval nerd. I said I didn't know there was a medieval part to that.
Oh well, you can put many things in front of nerd.
But yeah, that's actually interesting. I like that. Where does that stem from? Where does that stem from? Seriously, honestly, where does that stem from?
Pomander?
Yeah, like you said, medieval. Like, but specifically, where is that?
You stumped me on that. I can't remember exactly where it's sourced from.
We'll have to get one of our producers.
It may be French. Actually, it sounds might have been Pomander.
Kissing, yeah, sounds French.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
I'll
look it up. We'll look it up later, and if not, if I'm wrong, we'll do a retraction.
We'll do a retraction. Exactly.
We've never done that on the show before.
No, we just gotta let it fly. It's fine. Anyway,
now, John, you mentioned this whole thing about just don't finish the beer because there's so much to drink. It's like I'm finding it very hard not to finish this.
I knew damn well a dry hop Belgian triple. I knew damn well that I was going to finish this one, so I poured most of that. I saved a little, which I'll probably pour the rest right now. But the other two, I'll probably pour half the bottle and then save the rest for drinking afterwards.
Well, Todd just pulled a bottle out, so I'm going to leave the rest of my capitulation here. I'm going to take a sip of water to clear my palate.
I'm not rushing.
No, that's okay. I'm anxious to get to the next.
I am as well. That's another reason too. So yeah, I can leave the rest of this. I'm going to take a sip of water as well.
Because if there's anything I've learned from reading Marty's book, clear your palate between beers.
Absolutely.
Learned a lot from that book, actually, but we'll get to that later.
100%.
Okay, Todd, what's our next beer?
So next, I thought we would go with Rebirth. So I'll talk about it for a moment, and I'll pop it open here. And now I understand not all of you have this beer. Is that right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Marty stole one of my beers. I stole one of his beers.
Yeah.
I won.
John's got all three.
I've got all three. So this beer is part of what we call our Benedictine series. Just a little play on it. Benedictine.
I like that.
This basically it's really a small batch program. Any of these beers will be
Benedictine. I like that. You know what? I got to be honest with you. When I was looking at it, I just glossed right over that D, and I looked at Benedictine, right?
Yeah, I read it's Benedictine. That's a pretty beer, and Todd, I think you appreciate the chalice I poured this into. That's a West Fletterin chalice.
I used to have a West Fletterin chalice, but we'll leave that right there.
I think I have one home.
What's the interesting? Yeah, there you go. The interesting thing about the chalice, and Marty can correct me if I'm wrong here. The chalice is the appropriate glassware to drink a Trappist or an Abbey ale out of. It's not necessarily the best glass to drink one out of. It's just that the monks really like to drink it out of chalices because it reminds them of the Holy Grail. Not because it does anything for that. Actually, what's better is something more like this, like a flared tulip, especially stemmed, so you don't ruin the temperature of the beer unless you want to. But I figured for this one, It's the Benedictine series. It's coming out of a West Fletcher chalice.
There you go.
So this beer is it's been named Rebirth. That's we released it in the spring. We blended actually 2 different triples that were barrel aged in different bourbon barrels. So these are one was an all malt triple in some second use bourbon barrels, and one was the Trinity, our classic that we brew all the time, in a single first use bourbon barrel. We blended those together, and then out of it came this beer. So it's nice that the one batch, the second use was in barrels for about 11 months, and the Trinity was about 3 months. Then the blending, it's about 9.2%. But it's just nice. You get a nice bourbon character to it, a little bit of oak and vanilla. I tend to get a bit of vanilla.
Vanilla's strong in the nose.
Really strong, yeah.
What I'm loving here already, this theme of taking a really well-made Belgian and throwing America into it. Right? you dry hop the triple, then you took blended triples that were aged in bourbon barrels, and I am loving this concept. A barrel aged triple, yes, please, every day,
and twice on Sunday.
Yes, Saturday I have to work on Mondays.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's twice on Saturdays. Yeah, it's a good idea. You know what? Yes.
That's kind of what that program is all about. That's what barrel aging is, right? I mean, you just kind of come up with a good idea, something you think that's going to turn out well, whether it's just a spirit barrel in a beer, or a beer with fruit in another barrel, or a beer in a wine barrel, something like that you think is going to turn out really nice and people are going to enjoy, and you experiment with things and have some fun. And that's really what this whole series is about. It's very low volume. It's usually no more than typically 2 barrels. Wine barrels worth.
So Todd, you're talking about the Benedictine series, or this beer specifically?
The series itself.
Series. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we'll do. It's funny you mentioned, taking a nice Belgian beer and throwing America into it. We actually did this the Trinity as well, the same base beer as part of this, in pink tequila barrels. We called it La Trinidad. And it was absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
Best beers I think we've done out of this series. And it was just real simple.
I would have loved to have tried that, because Belgian esters with agave, that must be beautiful.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Well, I happen to have a couple of bottles, so I'll send some with Kat.
That sounds amazing.
It really does. It really, really does. This smells fantastic.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to drinking it. Sorry, Marty.
Yeah.
Marty.
I really want to hear Marty's tasting notes on this beer.
If you see me drooling, just know.
That's okay. Either I've already drank a lot already, or you blurred out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think your camera lost a little focus.
Yeah, I think it did.
Oh, wow.
I would just like to say, with regards to the blend, I'm a huge fan of, like I mentioned before, that triple is one of my favorite beer styles. A local brewery, this going back several years ago, they aged out their triple, which was already a very nice beer, but they did it in tequila barrels. And one of the best beers they ever made, one of my favorites from that brewery.
Wow.
Oh, nice. This is this bottle conditioned, Todd?
What's that?
Is it bottle conditioned?
Yes. Sorry, I meant to mention that. Yours looked a little cloudy, so I don't know if the bottle got shook up or what.
No. It's not that. The reason I ask is not because of the cloudiness of the beer. I kind of almost expected that on a bourbon barrel aged beer. It's only because it's got little effervescence to it.
Yes.
That's indicative of a bottle condition.
So we this whole series is all bottle conditioned. It's keg conditioned too. When we'll keg as well, and those will be keg conditioned for this series. But all of our bottles, whether they're in this series or our traditional, our traditional bottles that we do, we carbonate to about 3.4 or 3.5 volumes. cork and cage, just like this is presented. And yes, definitely bottle condition. That's the only way to do it for me.
Yeah, normally the cork and cage indicates it's been bottle conditioned, but there are people that cork and cage and don't bottle condition, and it's like I expect it to be bottle conditioned when you do that. This is weird, and I'm only have the bravery to say this because Marty's not tasting it, and I don't look at a fool in front of Marty Nachel. The bourbon barrel aging and the esters from the esters and the phenols from the yeast, to me, are combining. And John, tell me if I'm crazy or not. It's almost coming off as a little bit of like pineapple flavor to me.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's got that.
And I know it's the combination because there's nothing in there that throws pineapple.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got that. It's weird, right? It's not.
Yeah, it shouldn't
not
be
tropical, right? But it's got that. It's got a little bit of that hint of that sweet pineapple
juice. Yeah.
Juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting blend. One of the beers, as tradition goes, like our triple, and a lot of all your bigger Belgians, you're typically adding sugar into the boil, sucrose into the boil, to help lighten the mouthfeel and get that bigger alcohol without more maltiness. One of these triples was an all malt triple. So we used no added sucrose, but it was still like a 9.5% beer when it went into the barrel. But that beer, for some reason, when we did that fermentation, came much the spiciness, the phenolics that we got out of it, and the way the yeast interacted with that beer was completely different than we've seen with our traditional triple. So we got some interesting phenolics out of that, and some interesting esters too. And so that was 2/3 of this beer actually, as it was blended together, was that base beer.
The phenols are playing really, really nice in this. And even I'm getting a little wood and.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of the wood.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to go there.
That's okay. We were all thinking it.
That's why I said I'm getting a little of the wood. Now you know.
Because this beer it's that good.
I have a question. Like, how long could you keep this? Like, if I bought this, could I put it in my cellar, and how long would it keep for?
In your cellar, I don't know. I don't know what the upper limit is. I mean, this beer, we bottled it.
I'm very interested, considering I have 2 of them.
And you're gonna have to say the same on the next ones for Marty. So
it's right.
For me,
sitting
easily,
right there.
cellaring easily a couple of years.
A couple of years.
I have some. I have some of our older vintages of other beers that I've kept that long, and they cellar very well. All the beers that we do in this fashion are really high alcohol beers, which is one of the good things that helps preserve them. As long as the cork is good and you can maintain your pressure, and you don't get oxidation, you're bound to get some oxidation over time. That's just is what it is. The longer you keep it, but a good couple of years is this beer won't have changed much. I don't believe, not in my experience with the others.
with some of the other beers, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love this beer.
I've got nothing. That was my only question.
Yeah, good amount of time. Sure.
This is really, this is. I'm actually upset that you don't have a bottle, Marty. One, because I really would love you to taste this, right? But also because I want your want your notes on it. I really do. You know,
I just have to go out to Bend. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, let me know.
Marty,
I'll go too.
Marty, I've got another one of those too. So
we'll go to bed.
One of those too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is.
That's really
Marty
good.
does have a Kroon der Brom.
Aren't you brown? Cool. Good.
So.
I don't want to rush anybody.
Forward to it.
Marty, do you have anything else to open?
Yeah. I got it.
So Marty, what other notes do you have on this beer for us?
Hang on, I'll go to my basement.
All right.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, this is fantastic. Kudos on that. Look,
Thank you.
Todd, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. I really am not. This is really fantastic.
It really is.
Really.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
Well, to the point that you had earlier, there's not a lot of breweries that are Belgian only in this country. Right? You, Lost Abbey.
Omegang's not even Belgian only anymore.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They capitulated.
They capitulated.
Yeah, there's so few left, and Lost Abbey kind of cheated because they're just the other half of Port Brewing, so they can keep the lights on on one side,
right? Exactly,
and finance their Belgian side. So it's a little bit of cheating. Your bravery is commendable, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah,
As I said all along, I've never done this. If there'd have been a brewery in Bend that was already doing it, I'd probably still be doing my other job and buying lots of beer from them.
Fair enough. A question for you too. I did notice one thing on your website. You won a GABF award.
We won in 2020. Do Nothing won a gold medal, and then so I didn't mention this when we were drinking it earlier, but in World Beer Cup this year. Peppercorn Imperial Wit took a gold, and Capitulation took a bronze in the American Belgian style.
Marty, did you judge any of those?
I may have. I was there in 2022.
Well, he just said those were this year.
World Beer Cup
in Vegas this year.
Yeah, I was there.
You went in and go. Yeah. I didn't get there either, and I really wanted to, but I couldn't. So,
I'd just like to add, as from a marketing perspective, that distinguishing yourself is really smart.
I agree. It allows us to do what we want to do without necessarily the expectations for something completely different, but at the end of the day, you got to keep the lights on. So, I get that. I get why breweries change, and change with the times and things. I mean, everybody's doing things a little differently these days. I mean, we're brewing a Pilsner now, for Christ's sake. We're Monkless Belgian ales. So but we're brewing a lager. So
I'm assuming a Belgian Pilsner, right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I mean that's your
I mean, we use a traditional lager strain, but we're modeling it after the type of pilsners you'd have when you're in Belgium. So that's kind of.
Well, that's taking a Belgian beer and throwing America into it, right? That's basically.
Okay,
I had an amazing Belgian grisette in Eugene. Have you ever thought about brewing that style?
No.
It's because it's French.
It's French.
It's a French style. So. But the cat's point, distinguishing yourself is very, very important from that marketing point of view. But when you distinguish yourself in a niche like that, you've got to be damn good at what you're doing to be able to survive when it's that niche. And I can see why you survive because
100%.
This stuff is stellar.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. That's too kind.
Let's put it this way. My partner at Coastal Brew Works, we referenced earlier, Matt. He is. I mean, we brew a lot of different styles, right? But his favorite style to brew. He's a huge Belgian beer guy, right?
Especially to the point, Pater's beer, right?
Well,
yeah, we brew one of our core beers is a Pater's beer. All right. So in any event, I was going to say, well, when you get back from Belgium, we need to talk about Matt and I flying out and doing a collab, or you coming here and doing a collab, either or.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Or both.
That'd be great.
Or both, And then we come out there, Marty will meet us out there, and we can have all the beer out there too.
I'm on.
There we go. And I just drank Marty back into focus.
Well done.
Drank Marty back. Nice. It's not often that somebody can say that they did that.
Hey, I've been witness to reverse beer goggles, by the way.
There you go.
Don't make me tell that story.
No, I don't. No, I'm not here, not now. That's fine. I know the story. Leave it alone. Anyway, all right. Shall we move on? Shall we move on to make Dave water his mouth?
I'm the one.
There you go.
Yeah, you guys open that up. I do have a third beer prepared for this occasion.
So the name of this
Not the right
beer
word.
is. Oh, go ahead. You want me to go?
No,
No,
yeah,
yeah, you go. He's just Dave was just moving on.
I wasn't prepared. I didn't have my bottle opener.
Bottle opener. Oh, you don't have
because
a beer now.
Because he's just drinking another beer. He's not going to wait and patiently like Marty did and not have any beer. Dave's got to drink something while we're drinking, right?
So this
Pop
beer
you
is,
got out of that, Marty.
this beer is named Groen der Bram, which is translated as Crown of Blackberry. So this beer started out as Restitution, which is a 7.6% Belgian golden ale. Spent 11 months in fresh Pinot Noir barrels on 100 pounds each, 2 barrels of Triple Crown blackberries. This beer, it's obviously as you pour, it's going to have a little bit of a lavender hue to it. The secondary fermentation after we basically macerated the blackberries and put them into the barrel, then put the beer on top of it, and within 24 hours, we at this point didn't strap down the bung, and they were breathable bungs, but I came in over the weekend and the bungs were just laying on their sides with all sorts of blackberries on top of the barrels. So I had a lot of cleanup to do, but didn't nice positive pressure, so it didn't affect the beer at all. But the fermentation, the vigorous fermentation was crazy. Lots of sugar in these berries. So
John,
Yes, there was. Yes, there was.
John, I've been watching John the whole time because he had a little difficulty opening, and when he opened, he well, let's say he's got to clean up a little.
Well, you know, it came in the mail, so.
Oh,
It's had a couple days to rest.
Oh no, it's been in the fridge for since I told you I found it. It's been in the fridge since then. Leave it at that for now.
so there's so much sugar in this. Of course, there was a little bit of evaporation over the 11 months. We topped it a couple of times, but the base beer was 7.6%, and when we had this analyzed before packaging, it was 9.5. So we got almost 2 points of 2 percentage points of alcohol content just from mostly the sugar of the berries that was added into the beer after into the barrel.
Funny,
nice fruit character on the nose, a little bit of tartness, a little wood character. The Pinot, I get a little bit of a tannic kind of character from the Pinot Noir, from the wood, and from the Pinot residual, and it built just soaked into the wood that it pulled out. But really nice beer, and this has gone over really well. It's sold fantastically well for us.
Just a little filler informational for you, not for anybody else or anybody that cares or nobody.
No one cares.
Nobody cares. My favorite red wine is Pinot Noir. My favorite fruit to add as an adjunct to beer are blackberries.
Yeah.
So
good.
So John's in heaven. John's in heaven.
I'll leave it there.
And it's a Belgian beer.
And it's a Belgian beer, which there you go. Right.
So that's why John had to clean up a little.
I didn't go there.
Well, this twice now we've gone there.
You went there twice. I didn't.
Let's face it, we all did.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I just voice it.
We're laughing about you guys.
No. You're laughing at us guys.
But that's what we like.
Marty,
Oh wow.
Say again, Kat, we didn't hear you.
what do you think, Marty?
Pretty awesome. So far, I've only smelled it, haven't tasted it yet. Obviously, the nose is very fruit forward. That was the first most obvious thing about it. There was something else going on behind that I really like too. There's a little bit of an earthiness to it.
Yeah.
Eventually, the the fruit and the earthiness kind of mellowed out, and that's when the oak came out. And anybody who knows me knows that I love oak beers, so this is really turning me on as well. Can't wait to taste it.
This is really, yeah.
I think what blew me away about this was how all of these different flavors just came together so effortlessly.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I want to say, and just to shift focus onto what Marty just said for 1 second, not to put you aside, Kat, for a second, but just to shift focus on what Marty just said. If you smell this now, I'm getting all of that, right? But even if you were not, you're getting something, right? But you didn't know what you were getting. The way Marty described exactly what the aroma is would lead anyone right to saying, "Oh yeah, that's there. Oh yeah, that's there." You know what I'm saying? It's just,
Yeah.
Gotta know how to bullshit.
100%.
That's why he does what he does.
There you go. And he does it so well.
Right.
There you go. Shall we taste?
Well, a sip or two ahead of you.
Are you?
Well, then tell us what you got there, Marty.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.
Cheers. Thank you.
Again, fruit forward, but unlike what you would think, it's not cloying.
No, not cloying at all.
It's fairly dry. If I didn't know that these were blackberries, I may not guess correctly that they are. Just kind of a generic berry flavor.
That dark fruit
Right.
pigeonhole, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The wood eventually does make it to the palate. It's more towards the finish. Fairly dry, but not overly dry. Really nice drinker. Low CO2. Very pétillant. Very light.
Yeah, it's not nowhere near overcarved or anything like that. Even the way it came out of the bottle, it calmed down very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can even see it's not really even holding a head much anymore.
No, I got a little bit of one on mine. That's about it.
And I've noticed that with a few of the different beers that we've done on fruit. We did a couple of beers on 2 different grapes year before last, and then a couple years ago we did Beer Maker our Dark Strong on cherries. It's like the 4th beer we've done on fruit. And what I've noticed is a beer that'll typically have really good head retention. I haven't researched it yet. I'm just kind of talking about what my head brewer and I have been talking about. Is that the head retention is kind of that period of time where it's sitting on the fruit. It's kind of breaking up those proteins. Whereas something like Rebirth that was in a whiskey barrel, that head retention was fantastic, right? You should have a lot of proteins and nice foam on that, but we're not having that here. So I haven't researched it, like I said, but I'm just curious what it is. If it's maybe some wild yeast that's somehow chewing up those proteins. I haven't thought about it, but yeah, I've noticed that on all 4 of those beers that we've had on fruit.
The thing about Rebirth, I think a lot of the head retention on Rebirth was the bottle condition, the effervescence. I think created a good chunk of that head. But to your point, you need protein to get the head, but the effervescence helped build it.
Well, I mean, so my point with all of it is I know how we calculate it, and we're running the same amount of sugar, targeting the same amount of CO2 volumes, and you just don't see the same thing in the beer. So to me, I think there's something else going on, but I'll do some more research.
It could be the fruit. It could be the fruit. It might not be either. So.
Maybe the acid in the fruit.
Yeah, I've noticed in some acidic beers that they don't hold head very well. But, I agree with that point. But this beer is not particularly acidic. It's got some tartness, but it's really low level.
Very, very, very light tartness, yeah. But like in a good way. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm really loving the, it's not reaching that, level of, where you would think that it could be, but it's not. Yeah,
Right.
I think the oak is. I think the Pinot Noir barrels are, big time mellowing out the blackberries.
Oh yeah,
You know.
I got more of that character than I expected with all the blackberries that went in. To be honest.
How much did you put in? Was it again? It's 2 barrels? You said, right?
It was two wine barrels and 100 pounds of blackberries in each. So
100 pound. Oh,
Wow.
wow. How did you fit the beer in there? I'm curious.
You should have seen us that day. We're 2 immersion blenders. We're blending up blackberries, pouring them in, and then putting in beer.
I got to be honest with you. No, all kidding aside, I would think that based on what you just said, that this would be so blackberry forward, and it's not. It really worked well,
and much darker as well.
I think what we looking back at our notes, I'm sure we do it again, which I think is a definite possibility, is that we pull the blackberries back a little bit just to kind of see how it changes. But
I love this beer. I think it's one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life. So. I don't care if it doesn't have foam on top. It doesn't bother me.
Just put my
Love the wood character.
I first moved to Bend in 2018, and I discovered these guys, and I almost, in 2016, I started getting hopped out. But I discovered these beers, and I didn't want to drink anything else.
I remember
cases of Monkless.
I remember when we first started talking to you. You were raving about them.
Oh, 100%. I think
and
it's the conversation I ever had with you. Monkless.
You brought up Monkless.
Came into the conversation. Yeah.
So Todd, I think she dreams about your beers.
So this basically, in Kat's mind, this show has been in the works for a very long time.
Since she ever moved.
Before she even mentioned it to Dave or I.
I'll say one thing, Todd. I was in, and people who watch the show know this. I took a trip to the PNW. I did Seattle and Vancouver.
He didn't get to Bend.
I didn't go south. I didn't go south yet. I'm still going. I will get to Portland and Bend and much more places in Oregon because I'm a geocacher, and geocaching was born in Oregon.
And we circled back to nerding.
To nerd, geocaching nerd. There's another word to put in front of that. But when I was in Vancouver, Propolis Brewing and there was another brewery and another guy all said to me, get to Stumbling Monk. If you don't go to Stumbling Monk in Seattle, you're doing it wrong. And Stumbling Monk, as the name may suggest, is a Belgian beer bar.
Yep.
And Rob at Stumbling Monk, him and this guy Scott that was there, they both brought up Monkless. So while I was there, it's like, well, this is even more reinforcement that Kat's been talking about for Monkless. So I think you've got yourself quite a reputation, at least up in the PNW. Hopefully, this show will spread that reputation nationwide. Occasionally, we have international viewers. We don't know if they're on today or not, but
we do. We do have some in the UK. We do have some in throughout
Italy,
Europe, Italy, Germany. So
Canada.
Canada definitely. Yeah, but Todd, let me ask you, what's your distribute? I mean, do you distribute, or is everything out of the?
No, we distribute.
Okay.
We have.
What's your footprint?
Oregon self-distribute a good majority, a good portion of Oregon. We have a distributor in Washington. So we've been in Washington for years. And you mentioned the Stumbling Monk. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. I know we've distributed to them before. We have a distributor up there. Distributor in Idaho. Excuse me. Well, not as much carbonation, but there's some. Idaho, and we just recently this year picked up a distributor in Colorado that's been doing really great for us, and then another one in Kansas, kind of about halfway through the year that we've shipped a handful of pallets to. So it's doing good. It's kind of it's not it's not like you go in and it's gangbusters and all the time. It takes a lot of work. But
it does. It does.
At it.
It's not just about shipping the beer there too. It's about getting the name out and get the word out in those locations as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the right distributor.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, this is fantastic. So
awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Marty, any other notes on the
I
Yeah,
appreciate
so we'll to try the one I'm missing.
negative too. Honestly.
There you go. Dave, any notes on this one?
Well, considering I'm not drinking it.
What?
Actually, I did open a third beer. I figured if you guys going triple and triple, then I'd have to, and then another triple. Well, it's not triple; it's golden, right?
It's a triple and a triple and a golden. So the triple and triple is 6, and then the golden backs it down to a 4, I think, right? Would back it down to a 4?
It's a Belgian Golden Strong, right?
I'm saying it for
It's
Dave.
a Belgian. He's saying it because he knows I'm going to play off the number 4 because I decided to go with a quad. Third beer. This is Weyerbacher's quad. Now they're not a Belgian specific. They actually made their name off of a barley wine called Blithering Idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about a brewery who just picked the perfect name for a beer.
Yeah,
because it's the name of that beer that really that's what made everyone go, "Ooh, I want to try that beer." And no one knew what a barley wine was when they were making this. Right. Nobody. And so everyone tried it, and it's really good. And
they've made several Belgians over the years, and they've all been pretty good.
Yes, they do. Well, they've got
Verboten
Monks, Merry Monks.
Merry Monks.
Well, Verboten was called Zotten at first, but Zotten they got a cease and desist from a brewery in Belgium. Right. So that's why they called it Verboten, because that means forbidden.
It's forbidden, right? Verboten.
So it was a really good change of name. What I also love about them is they did start a barrel aging program. So if you take this quad and you put in bourbon barrels, they call it blasphemy.
Yep.
And they're Merry Monks. What is that in bourbon barrels?
They do that with a lot of their beers. They bourbon barrel age it and they call it a different, and they call it something else. It's not bourbon barrel aged. Verboten. It's bourbon barrel.
No! One of my favorite is Blithering Idiots. When they barrel age that one, they call it Insanity.
Insanity, right? And then the Imperial Stout, they bourbon barrel age that. That's heresy.
That's heresy because the Old Heathen becomes heresy.
Old Heathen becomes heresy.
Right. But the best part about Blithering Idiot becoming Insanity is their tagline for it is "The fool has finally lost it."
Right. You know what's funny? I'll just mention this really quick. We've discussed Weyerbacher on this show. Not a lot, but enough. Probably, over the last 4 years, we've probably discussed Weyerbacher a dozen times, and we've never had them on the show. So,
we got contacts for them. I don't think
be time.
We need to follow up.
Might be time. Anyway. All right.
I don't know where the hell my cell phone went.
Next for the minute.
I'll call you. How's that?
At any rate.
No, seriously. I'm going to call you, and I'm going to hear the phone ring just to see where your cell phone's at. There you go.
Hey guys, I have a question for Todd. Can I ask him?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're doing this because this is just now dead air. Please fill it.
Sure. So my question is, what is next for the Benedictine series?
Great question. I love that question.
So we have a saison we'll release here in probably 3 weeks or so.
Saison.
Yeah, we had it in a neutral barrel for about a year, and then aged it on lemon zest and Mandarina Bavaria. Then that's bottled, so that'll come out here shortly. And then in the works, we've got a beer on a strain of Brettanomyces that's just been sitting for about a year and a half. Probably has another year to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what's the base beer? The base beer.
It's a Belgian quad, 10.6% when it went in, but it was at about 7 Plato, so it should have a nice amount of just long chain sugars for that Brett to work through. So
you're putting a quad on Brett.
The beautiful thing about wild yeast is that the more time it changes over time, right? it can change a lot, and
Well,
then it'll stop changing as much.
And this was kind of okay. So everybody, you have issues occasionally. This was the only beer I've ever had that didn't finish fermentation, and I've knocked on wood a lot of times when saying that. But so we took part of it and put it in barrels and put it in there with Brent. Okay, well we can't do what we want with it anyways, so we're gonna see how it goes. And it's one of those things. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and hopefully it'll turn out to be something good.
That sounds great.
The bugs will do. The bugs will do what the bugs will do.
The bugs will do what the bugs will do. I will just tell you this right now, Dave. I've called you 3 times. I haven't heard your phone ring once. So
no, and it's on vibrate, which means it's not on the desk because my microphone would pick it.
Oh, please! If your phone was on the other side of your house, your microphone would pick it up. So you must have left it at work.
Okay,
No.
guys, one more in the series that I want to mention.
Please do. No, yeah, please do.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
You said we're Americanizing our Belgians, so I don't know. I'll let
putting a little America in
this one. We're gonna put some Jamaican into this one, I guess.
Oh, rum barrels, nice.
So we bought some rum barrels from Oregon Spirit Distillers. They had a white rum in them for 9 years. They had whiskey in them for 4 years before that. So the rum when it came out was obviously pretty brown. There actually did seem like there was some a little bit of lemons that they had put into one of the barrels. We left some of that in there anyways, but we put our Double in there on those rum barrels, and that went in about 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. So that's actually probably after the Saison, the next thing that we would actually release is that.
Why a
Double on rum?
Why a Double? I want to ask.
We had done a lot of our other beers, and we hadn't used that beer in it. And I think we tasted the rum that came out of it, and feeling what that rum character would do in contrast with those dark fruits. You get a lot of dark fruit character, a little bit of chocolate and that kind of character out of our Double. We thought it would work really well. So,
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
That sounds wonderful.
It's weird that rum was like I said, it was a white rum in there for 9 years.
9 years.
9 years. Wow.
So just what the character from the rum that's is going to be something too.
That's absolutely.
So I have another quick question for Todd, if I may.
Yeah, go.
How many different yeast strains are you using?
So counting. We use a Saison strain for part of the year, a blend of 2 strains. And then outside of that, it's 3 year-round ale strains, and then the 1 lager strain that we've introduced a year and a half ago or so. So we've got our wit strain, and then the other 2 that really do the bulk of our other beers that we then end up. There's specific beers we brew with them, but there's 2 other strains that really do most of the work in the brew house.
So how many different ones are being used for the Benedictine series?
Well, so that it depends. It kind of depends on the base beer. So whatever base beer went in it, that yeast has done its job. It will have fermented through primary, and then we'll put it in the barrel for aging. And if there's additional fruit that goes in, I don't know what yeast is doing it, right? It could be the yeast that's in there. It could be the yeast that's on the fruit.
Yeast in that, yeah. Sure.
Mix of both, right?
Have you been propping a lot of stuff in house and just keeping the?
No, we buy fresh pitches that they're all commercially available. What we buy,
sure.
We harvest and reuse, which if you call Y yeast, they don't ever do that because our beers are too big. But
right.
Had these conversations with them a long time ago about how I would not be in business if I did that.
Yeah, right.
To do it anyway.
This is true. Yeah, no. That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But we don't prop any of our own, but we buy fresh pitches, and we have a really good yeast handling program that works and helps us definitely be viable. But it just depends on the base beer as to what's going in and what yeast strain fermented it. But we've done it with it's typically those 2 base beers, those 2 base strains that have gone into all of our barrels. We haven't done anything with a wit beer yet. It just doesn't I don't know, wit beer barrel age just seems kind of counterintuitive to me. I mean, you're going to lose all the haze, then what do you got?
Right.
Yeah.
Then where you going? Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's on the, not beer wise, just what's on the immediate horizon for Monkless? And we'll wrap it up that way.
You know, it's been a really busy year, guys. We moved the.
That's a good thing.
The whole thing. We moved facilities across town in March into April, and it took until June really to kind of get caught up, just on the distribution side and everything, and making sure we were kind of ahead of sales. Mm-hmm. And the restaurant's doing great. We're open up. We are right now in a small tap room. It's about 700 square feet. That is called the Abbey, and it is at the production brewery. We used to have a tap room at the old space. We closed it down in 2018 or 2019 when we opened the restaurant. But one of the things that was really missing, like for locals, is they like that really small feel, and that little homey feel, and the ability to actually just kind of look into the brewery or see us as we're here, or talk to brewers or things like that. That's what we wanted to reinstitute with this tap room, was the ability to be more in touch with folks, be able to do tours more than we have been able to in the last 4 years or so. So that's one of the things on the horizon for us. I think that will really help and be something that we'll be putting some effort into here, just kind of getting this little space kind of rolling and programmed and things like that.
Yeah, they have another location. It's called the Brasserie, and it's kind of in a very popular part of Bend. And that is, they serve food there and all of their beers.
That's the
definition of the word.
Right, exactly. That's the restaurant, and that was the original brewery. That's what you're saying.
No, it was the original brewery was a separate location from the Brasserie as well. We opened the Brasserie in 2019 when we were still brewing at the other space on.
I understand. Okay, and then you moved everything to the Abbey, which is where you are now. I got you. Okay, now I'm following.
Right.
And I got to say, on your website, I've seen the pictures of the Abbey. It's beautiful, Todd.
Yeah. You
guys put a lot of detail into it. It looks like a Belgian beer label came to life inside of the building. It's amazing. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I can't. I'll give all the credit to my wife. She went and picked out a bunch of antiques for this place. I mean, if you look at a lot of the tables came from, a pub in Leuven, and then some of the tables came from pubs in the UK. A bunch of the stuff they are just real antiques that came from Belgium and from across the pond. And it turned out really nice. I mean, the door behind us that you can't. That was made by a local dude, Jeb. He's freaking awesome. But I mean, we see that Abbey door. It's absolutely amazing. But I just we're moving over. I just do want to. You guys are appreciating the beers, but I got a great team. Hans, my head brewer, and all the guys that put their work into this, are huge in everything we do. They're all awesome.
It always takes a team. And you mentioned your wife earlier. And like they say, behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes.
100%.
Yeah, she does that a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Supporting and doing all the
No. Rolling your eyes, that says it all. Yeah, because within rolling your eyes is the supporting and doing.
It's fixing the crap that you all screwed up.
All part and parcel of the same thing. So there you go.
Yes.
All right. Great. Todd, please hang out as long as you can. We know you're up against it. You got a flight tomorrow, right? You're going to Belgium.
I got a flight tomorrow, and I got a son leaving for college, so I got to help him load up some stuff tonight too. So
there you go. Very nice.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right.
No, it was great. This is great. Thank you so much for making great beer, Todd.
Todd, please reach out when you get back, because I do want to talk to you. And I wasn't kidding about that coming out and maybe doing a collab, or you coming here doing a collab, or
Let's do it.
Or whatever. Absolutely.
I would love to. And then
Absolutely.
I'll have some beer for Kat to send in the mail for all of you guys for whatever you missed out on.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And
you know,
Todd, if he goes out with his brewer Matt, the two of you will geek out for hours, and to the point where John's eyes roll back in his head, he'll pass out.
No, my eyes will roll back in my head because all I'll be doing for those hours is drinking while the two of them are talking. So
Matt is we were talking about nerd. Matt is a major Belgian beer nerd.
Exactly. So
cool. Sounds like a good guy.
Yeah. As am I. But
at times he can. Yeah, he's a good
as am I. But the two of you talking, I'll just be sitting there enjoying and drinking. That's it.
And not understanding a word either of you say.
Oh no, yes, no, not at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Anyway, all right. But on that note, I would like to shift to Marty. We've been on your tasting notes for the last little bit, obviously with the two out of the three beers that you did enjoy. You've been doing this for a while now, Marty, right? I mean,
yeah, you can say that.
You can say that. You're not just a beer judge. You're not just a national beer judge. You're an international beer judge. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and fill us in on that?
Well, before Todd has to leave, I'd just like to say thank you very much for sharing those beers with us.
Oh, yeah.
Great job. Wonderful. Looking forward to more.
Yes, please. 100%, Todd. Seriously. And whenever you have to go, just let us know. Please stay as long as you can. But whenever you have to go, just let us know, and we will say our proper goodbyes at that point.
Well, I mean, I guess we should just probably do it now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There you go.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity and love connecting with you. And look for something in the mail.
100%.
Todd,
Awesome.
cheers.
Thank you as well, by the way. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
And I'm cheersing you with one of your beers, not one.
There you go.
Prior.
Kat, are you staying on, or are you leaving as well?
I'll hang out for a while.
Okay, good.
Right, perfect.
All right. Marty, back to you. Sorry about that.
No, not a problem at all. So as far as becoming a judge, I started judging as part of the BJCP back in 1986. The program was started in 85, and I took it within that. I took the test within that first year, and certified, and so that's when I started down that road. And then after years and many different competitions, eventually I was able to wheedle my way into the GABF back in 1998. So that's when I started, doing professional judging. And so I've done GABF 10 out of the last, 15, 20 years, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Lost track.
Now, I want to clarify something real quick. We say professional judging, and I think Marty even did the air quotes on it, because professional judges indicate that you get paid, and they don't. they get some stipends here and there, and some, there's some maybe swag or something involved. But so saying professional indicates you're getting paid. We don't want to misrepresent this. They don't get paid. They do this for the love of the beer.
100%.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. And so let me present that a different way. Professional judging, no air quotes, has to do with commercial beer as opposed to homebrew. Okay. So for many years, I was doing just homebrew judging. In 98, when I started at GABF, now it's commercial brewing, which I consider professional. Right. And so that led to gigs at World Beer Cup.
Oh, so this is the clarification. You're judging beers that people make money on.
Yes.
Rather than people. That's where professional comes in.
That's where professional comes in. Yeah. And when you're judging at World Beer Cup, there's obviously many judges that go to World Beer Cup.
Over 300.
Yeah, and one of them actually too. Like we've had her on the show before. She lives like a half a mile from me. Gretchen Schmidhausler.
Can't say I know her.
Yeah, so she's an OG in New Jersey brewing, and
the first ever female head brewer in New Jersey.
In New Jersey,
yeah. Nice.
So, but anyway, continue.
So through GABF and World Beer Cup, I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of judges from other countries and got to know them and got to kind of learn how to get involved in those other competitions in other countries. And so my first competition out of country was in 2017 in Santiago, Chile. And
Oh wow!
it was a phenomenal
Wow,
experience.
that's great.
It was a phenomenal experience to be able to judge with all these other people from many different countries, not just Chile. It was people from all over. And it was at that point that I realized this is what I want to do. I want to get into this. Unfortunately, shortly thereafter came COVID. I was actually scheduled to judge in Brazil and Mexico just as COVID was starting to happen. And I got cold feet and called them off and decided not to go. But I've since been trying to kind of make up for that. My goal, which, as years go by, I'm not sure I'll ever achieve it. My goal is to judge on every continent that actually has a beer industry. So that leaves
That's great.
Leaves out Antarctica, unless the penguins have started to brew.
Yeah.
Well, he just said on every continent that there's actually beer.
I said that, and that leaves out Antarctica.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So
Marty's gonna go to Mars soon. It's gonna, gonna have Marty on Mars judging.
Marty on Mars.
I have to go with Elon.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll go up. We'll brew beer. Marty will judge it. Dave will drink it. It'll be good. It'll be a thing.
We'll be all fine. And then Kat will do the website for it.
There you go. Done.
There we go.
There you go.
You got the right person there.
There we go. And it's because we'd have to go with Elon because Boeing's not getting us there. And if they do, they're never getting us back.
No. This is true.
We may not want to come back, but we'll see.
So how many off the top of your head, how many well, all right, how many judgings have you done? Not beers. That could be a separate question if you will. But.
Well, I would have to separate between homebrew competitions and commercial competitions.
Have at both.
Homebrew, probably 60, 70, 80, maybe 100. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention back then.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm not paying attention now.
Yeah. Commercial competitions. I've done GABF for 10 years. I've done, you guys know FOBAB, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Festival of Barrel Aged Beers here in Chicago. I've done that for 7 years. Done World Beer Cup a couple of years. Chile, Brazil, South Africa, Canada 2 years, Mexico 2 years. So that's about where I stand right now.
That's awesome. And how many beers, if you had to put a number on it, how many beers overall, including homebrew and professional beer judging, would you say?
Talking thousands, 10,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, I mean, obviously, we're not. What I mean, within a ballpark, put a number to it.
Easily thousands. When I was judging GABF early on, I actually was keeping track of how many I was judging. In the 3 days of judging, I was doing close to and sometimes just over 100 beers for the 3 days.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah. I have done as many as 55 in a single day, depending on the flights and, how late we judged.
Sure.
So, yeah, easily in the thousands.
How would you...
That's the thing that was very interested in your book, because knowing the scope, the quantity of beers that you judge in a day across a GABF, the ability to actually taste something when you've gotten to, you're at 10:30 p.m., you started at 9 in the morning. You talk about cleansing your palate in between, but there's got to be a point where you're so fatigued. Your palate is so fatigued that you're like, why are you making me taste anything else?
That's something that I learned early on. I learned it the hard way, like most novice judges. You have to learn how to pace yourself. You have to learn how to treat your palate right, meaning starting with not eating the wrong foods, onions, garlic, anything cruciferous.
Barbecue baby back ribs.
Yeah, anything spicy, you have to stay away from all of that stuff. You also don't want to eat to the point where you get full.
You're full.
And you have to go and sit down at a table and drink beer. All these things that you learn, you have to properly hydrate. You have to cleanse the palate with both water and some kind of bland starch, crackers or something along that line.
Non-salted crackers.
Yes.
Crackers.
Oyster crackers are perfect.
Oyster crackers.
I consider those actually one of the best possible things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, you learn that this is your instrument. These are your tools, and you have to treat them right. And if you don't, you're not going to be a very good judge.
And people who are listening, he's not just pointing to his mouth; it's the nose, the mouth, the whole area.
It's everything.
And you talk about this in your tasting. It's the
eyes too. I mean, it's everything.
It's everything. But when it comes to the actual tasting, it's the nose, the back of the passage between the nose and the throat, and everything in the mouth. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that in the book, and I found that vindicating, because I've always thought that because there's always that what's that exercise when you're tasting a sour is to pinch your nose, right, to see if it's truly sour or not. They do that. They like to use a jelly bean to do that. It's like, are you getting the actual added flavors, or are you getting just the sugar, the jelly bean? When you pinch your nose, there's no flavor left, right? So it's all the sensory organs, all those receptors between your nose and all the way down to the back of your throat. So that was a great part of the book as well, because I've always felt that way, and to hear such an acclaimed judge actually say that, like, yes, exactly.
Yeah, to your point about judging late in the evening, I have to say that here in the United States, the BA, the Brewers Association, they're the ones who are responsible for putting on the two largest competitions, that being GABF and World Beer Cup. And I feel that they're at the top of the game. They do it very, very professionally. Mm-hmm. They never expect us to judge beyond a certain hour in the day. Sure. Having judged at other competitions in other countries, granted, they are still learning. They're still kind of getting their feet wet in certain areas. And unfortunately, they don't always have very good control over how many beers are being served and how many judges they have, whether or not they have enough judges to actually cover the number of entries in the competition. So they have judges judging, unfortunately, too far into the evening. That's the unfortunate downside to this. And I will admit, for myself and for other judges, after so many hours in a day, after judging so many beers, you're just not really competent anymore. And I think it works against the integrity of the competition when you push judges that hard, because the results are not going to be that good.
How many, in your estimation, what is the ultimate number? How many beers per hour would you say it should be the number, the target number for anybody doing a competition out there to push their judges to?
That's pretty simple, because I set a limit for myself. I like to give myself 10 minutes per beer. So using that, it's about 6 beers per hour. Yeah. So if you have a 10 beer flight, it's about an hour and 40 minutes.
Right. Oh God, I'm sorry. I just inadvertently made you break one of our rules. We're not allowed to math on the show.
Oh, stop
That's one of our rules. We can't math on the show.
Okay, it wasn't math. It was just times. It was just
it was very simple math.
It's simple math. It was fine. The only day we're allowed to do math is on if the show falls on March 14th.
Yes,
that's it. That's Pi Day.
That's Pi Day. Yeah. So we will do math on Pi Day.
Well, this is the extent of, and I have the crawl here. Hold on, let me throw it.
Yeah,
this is the extent of the math we do on Pi Day.
We run this pretty much the whole. We run this the whole show.
The whole show. Anyway,
hold it. I was memorizing.
I'll put it back up. No, there was so much fascinating. I actually, I read the book on the plane. I was really hoping it would take more time, but I was so engrossed in it that I tore through it, but absorbed so much from that book.
May I
you
ask
talk
which
about-
book?
How to taste beer.
The judging beer?
How to judge? Yeah, how to
How to
judge.
judge beer.
Yeah,
How to judge
okay,
beer.
Yeah.
okay.
And man, there's just so much in there that was just, like I said, I absorbed so much of it. Because you also talk about the environment of judging, right? And the one thing that really struck me is no perfumes, no cologne, no lotion. I have been in brew pubs where I've been at a table and they've sit someone at the table next to me who's, let's face it, 2 drops of patchouli and you're doused in it. And I've had to ask to move my table.
Yeah.
Because I can't taste anything. My grandmother cursed my brother and I with an oversensitive nose. If I'm in a car with somebody who's, my partner carried it once on a trip up to Boston. She put perfume on before we went. I had to open all the windows and I could taste her perfume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been there, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So if I come across something like that and they're wearing patchouli, so that really struck a note with me. Talk about the other elements that are important when it comes to the environment of being a judge.
Well, obviously, you don't want things that are going to be distracting, and starting with the aromas that emanate from other people and other situations. I've judged in places that had, it was like a restaurant setup, so you smelled the aromas coming from the kitchen.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been seated too close to the bathroom. Situations like that. So, I mean, obviously aromas, that's a given. One issue that I personally really, it kind of pisses me off when there's poor lighting. How can you be a good, effective judge when
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
you want to see what it is you're judging? You also want to see what you're writing.
And let's face it, we all have some gray in our beards. Lighting is quite important for us to be able to see stuff now.
Yeah, I didn't used to wear these, but I have to now when I judge. Especially now because judging is going digital. People are using computers now.
Sure.
That's a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you also mentioned on it no cell phones, but you did give the caveat if you've pulled up the BJCP guide to see that. And that was another thing and this is something I'm going to start doing as I drink beers. And, like so many people, I put it up on Untapped. But I do want to judge the beer by the beer itself. And I want to judge it by the style. So you say in the book, have the guide in front of you while you're tasting any beer.
Yeah, and that's a big thing with all right, not to go down a rabbit hole, and I'm not going because I don't want to, but Untapped, obviously there's not judges that are Untapped, right?
No, God, no.
It's far from it, right?
Well, that goes to another piece of this.
They're not, but that's the thing, though, right? And the discerning drinker will know this, so it's not anything that they don't know. But for the most part of reviews on Untapped, they're not judging based on style; they're based on their palate and what they like, right? And you're the best one, I have to tell you, and it was one of our beers. This is the best IPA I've ever had. I would put this above any IPA I've ever tasted, and they gave it 1 star. I hate IPAs, right? Why are you even writing anything?
Exactly.
Well, this is a whole chapter in Marty's book,
Right?
What is it? What did you call it? Hedonistically judging versus critical judging, right?
Right. Exactly. Hedonics.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So speak more about that, because that's
someone who is not trained in judging, and this isn't just about beer. This can be for wine or any alcohol or
right. This can go for anything. Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. When you're not trained as to how to judge that product, whatever it may be, then you're judging according to your own opinions. And that's called judging hedonically. And that's
Don,
what
that's the word. Sorry.
that's what the vast majority of people do, especially when we're talking about rate beer or the other ones like that.
Great beer, beer advocate, Untapped, any of those, right?
All those guys, yeah.
Mhm.
People are just talking about what they know, which is their own opinion, their likes and dislikes. And when you want to judge correctly or professionally, you need to get away from that. You need to leave your opinions at the door. And that's where guidelines come in. And all judges that I know judge according to guidelines. In fact, when you judge at World Beer Cup or GABF, part of your judge packet that you're given on the day you do your orientation is the printed out the hard copy of the guidelines for that particular competition.
Sure.
If for any reason you don't have the hard copy guidelines, you have them on your phone. You can always pull them up.
I have a
I have
question.
the app.
Right.
Right.
So those Monkless beers that we just tasted, what that would fall into a special category, right?
There are categories for those, yes. Absolutely.
Are those more challenging to judge?
I'm sorry?
Are those more challenging to judge, the special categories?
Not really, because even the specialty categories, they have all the same language that the regular categories have, just including the specific ingredients or methods that are used to make that specialty beer. So it's not any more difficult or challenging than judging regular beers.
There was something else in the book. You talk about if you want to know what a particular style is like. You mentioned 3 countries that all styles emanate from: England, Belgium, Germany.
Yep.
Preaching to the choir here, right? We know this. This is where all these styles came from. You know, one of my favorite styles is an imperial stout. That's British. And the thing is, most of the beer drinkers in America, you know, they all love IPAs. They don't realize that's British.
Mm-hmm.
But
one of my favorite styles is what's one of my favorite styles?
It's you're talking about the Schwarz beer from Germany, or
Schwarz beers and Sticker Alts, right? So
Sticker Alts, Germany. Well, your last name's Fledung, so you're German. You've got a slant. But to that point, you mentioned in the book, drink a beer style from where it's from. Right. Because anytime, especially, you know, one of my examples is like a Goza. If anybody wants to try a Goza, I want them to do the Bayerische Bahnhof first.
Of course.
Right. Drink that first. That way you know what a Goza is supposed to be. And in the book, and this is a question for you. You talk about how in America we do brew some of these styles, but we'll never actually approach where the original styles came from. Do you feel we're getting closer, or do you feel we're still where we were?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm just going to take out the word never. I don't remember if I actually used that, but if I did, I don't want to say that we're never going to get there. I think we have the ability. I think we have the knowledge. I think we have the ingredients, the equipment to do it. I think we make a conscious choice not to.
But we do have some breweries that are trying to make that conscious choice to get to those points. Have you come across any breweries who are doing that are getting close?
Yeah, I mean, it would be super unfair of me or anybody to say that there are no American breweries that can faithfully replicate a good German or British or Belgian beer, because there are few and far between.
We just tasted some.
Exactly, right. That's an excellent example right there. But I think the vast majority of American brewers are, for the lack of a better term, they're taking the easy way out.
Lazy is the word.
Yeah, and an example of that would be the Goza style or any simple sour beer, the German style sours.
Well, let's face it. Most American brewers, they do a Goza, they're putting lime in it and aging in tequila barrels to give somebody a margarita.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, there's so much.
Slightly sour, a little tart, salty, briny. Boom, done. Just call it.
Yeah. I those beers I would kind of refer to as like a bastardization of the style,
Right.
An American bastardization of the style. But I think we have brewers out there that are making a conscious effort to actually brew to the genuine styles of the country where they were born.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are making an effort. I don't think that they're judging their final product next to what they want to be, what they're trying to be. Let me ask you this question: how many American Oktoberfests have you tried that that made you think that it was from Germany?
There's a couple that come close, but none that actually.
It's still that's still zero.
And why is that? I think American brewers are not holding themselves up to the German standard.
Oh, hell no. No, nobody.
Oh, no, hell no. But there's let's take, now this is departing from the three countries. Sacred Profane in Biddeford, Maine. They're the first brewery.
Was that a poet and you don't know it? Sacred Profane?
I know, right? I just turned it into Dr. Seuss there for half a
Exactly.
Put a quad on me, I become Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
But they were the first brewery in the United States where Czechia and the brewers in Czechia allowed them to buy tanks to turn themselves into a tank.
They did.
Rather than a tap room.
They did.
Which means their beer had to pass muster with them.
Have you had Sacred Profane, Marty?
No, not available here.
It's when I first had their pale. I almost cried, and the reason I almost cried is because it's the closest I've ever had from an American brewery to what Pilsner Urquell used to be.
Used to be, yeah.
Not what it is now, because remember when they went to the stainless tanks, they ripped the
when it was in the wood fermenters. Yeah, that's
I think that's one of the biggest devastations for me from when the wall came down. It's that Urquell was able to put in stainless tanks, and that beer suffered for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
that's an opinion.
It's still fantastic, but it's not what it was.
Right.
Yeah. So
and Sacred Profane is one of the two breweries. I mean, there's
a
couple others, but Cohesion out in Denver is doing their Czech only brewery as well. Have you had anything from Cohesion?
I have not.
Okay.
But since we're talking about Denver, how about Bierstadt?
Bierstadt's fantastic. I mean, I can't leave there. I get to Bierstadt. Somebody wants to go, hey, let's go here. Nope. I sat down. I'm here till we go to bed tonight. I'm good.
You have to drag my carcass out of here.
Hello, Uber.
Right, exactly.
You know that Uber now is making it so that if they can tell that you're drunk, they don't have to drive you, which defeats the whole purpose of Uber.
Right.
You're 100% right.
What the hell? That's what Uber's for.
Look. Bottom line is, the Uber drivers want to make money. They don't give a shit if you're drunk.
Yeah, there's so few of them that are going to deny a fare. They don't. As long as you don't puke in their car, they don't care.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah, you know what? If I were an Uber driver, of course, yeah, let's go. I'm going to get you home. It's fine. I'll get you to a hotel, whatever. You know. If you're about to please stay outside. You know what? I'll sit here, take care of what you got to do, then I'll take you home. You know.
I've been in a limo before and told the limo driver, a bunch of us said, you might want to keep the windows open. And we gave him racing stripes.
Oh.
Anyway, but
all right. On that note, let's back to what we're doing.
But back to Marty. You've got something else going that you've
hold on before you do. I just want to
before we go there.
I just want to point out one thing too. This is not Dave's talking about it. This is not one book. I mean, you've written. You wrote Beer for Dummies. You wrote Home Brewing for Dummies. You wrote the beer tasting guide. Your beer tasting guide. I mean, this is not Dave's referring to the beer tasting guide. but he's not referring to Home Brewing for Dummies and Beer for Dummies either. So you've wrote many books. So
a couple.
Yeah. So.
I do have a question about the one book, Home Brewing for Dummies, because the book in the United States for home brewing was Charlie's.
Right.
Charlie's Danforth.
I have them too.
Yeah, right.
Gotta love them. Gotta love them.
Absolutely.
Relax, have a home brew, right? That resonates in my head so often. I think I've got the 12th edition of that one.
I have a couple of them.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're asked to do home brewing for dummies, and you're stepping into the footprints of a giant in doing so. How did that make you feel?
Challenged.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the opportunity to do that. It was very rewarding. I will always give Charlie his due, because, like you said, he was the master. He was the first.
Mm-hmm.
But to have my book mentioned in the same even paragraph with his, that's very rewarding. That and John Palmer.
Well, that's the funny thing. Before the show began, Marty came in first. It was just John, Marty, and I. And I said, it's not often we meet a legend. He turned around because he's a humble man as well. But when you do the book for the Dummies series, you're being recognized as an expert in the field. So you've kind of earned that legend badge, let's say, and you've known so many of the other legends through the years.
That's the cool thing. I'm still a fanboy. I still, when I go to like GABF or wherever, and I see these other folks that I grew up reading about or seeing on the internet. By the way, the internet didn't exist when I first got into beer.
Of course. As I could say, two of the other three of us. Yeah.
Kat, you grew up on the internet, did you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we remember the days of having to press a button 3 times to make the letter U.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I still get a kick out of meeting these people, running into them wherever, and getting to shake their hand and thank them for what they've done for the industry, and I know that I am more or less among them, but I still feel that they're up here and I'm down here, so it's all fun.
So I don't know about that. John, can I segue now?
You can segue now.
That's a perfect place to segue.
Perfect place to segue.
Now you've met all these legends.
Mm-hmm.
You set something up to honor these legends with the lovely Kat Reyes' help,
mm-hmm.
On the website and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You came up with an idea that I think is long fucking overdue. Pardon the phrase.
I am so thrilled, and I won't say it until you do, but I am so thrilled that you've done this, and I am shocked that no one has yet.
Exactly. This is so long overdue. And so what I'm talking about is Marty.
And I'm jealous. I didn't think of it first.
But what Marty is doing it's the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame. And it almost saddens me that it's only American because, we can't have
Michael Jackson in this.
Exactly. But I hope that there's you got this
emeritus.
Yes,
he's got to be an emeritus kind of thing.
But and so we did a show because Kat clued us in, and we did a show that this might be something coming up without, and we did it with your blessing.
It was a couple of days before you launched. Yes.
Yeah. And
actually, I think it was the day before you launched, actually.
And we do top 3s on the show. And the top 3 was, if there were to be a American Craft Beer Hall of Fame, who would you be? My number 1 was Charlie. Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. You know what? Let me pull that up, and I'll see.
You pull that up. But while you're pulling that up, Marty, talk about the impetus to get this going, because it's the impetus we all friggin' have on this. It's just that almost hero worship of some of the OGs.
Mhm.
Not almost hero worship. It is.
It is kind of hero.
Legit. This kind of got started last fall, November-ish. I was just, I'm always thinking about stuff, especially having to do with the beer industry, thinking about different things that should be done, need to be done, why aren't they done? And the thought of a Hall of Fame popped in my head. And the first thing is, why have I never heard of a beer Hall of Fame?
Because we're all idiots, apparently.
When I finally got back to my computer and I spent a little time doing Google searching, I came up empty. And I tried different words and different terms, and empty. Nothing ever came up. I'm like, serious? And I had the same reaction that you did minutes ago. It's like, what? How come nobody's done this?
Exactly.
Why are we in 2024, at that time 23, and there's no craft beer Hall of Fame? So I started thinking, okay, I need to get this ball rolling. My intention was to actually just conceive of the idea and then say, okay, here you go, guys. Take it over.
No, it's yours, buddy.
And I started thinking, okay, who are the right people to take, bring this idea to so they can run with it? And I started compiling a list of all these people I knew and thought might be interested and had connections to the industry, decades ago. And after I compiled this list, the more I thought about it, it's like, I've already taken those first couple of steps, and I know what I want to get out of this, or to what to make out of this. Why don't I just do it? So it was at that point in time. I mean, it was very daunting. I understand the gravity of this, no pun intended. I knew that it was going to take.
What was specifically? Tell us the gravity.
And what's the ending?
So yeah, I mean, I guess I just decided to run with it. But what really convinced me that I was doing the right thing and I was headed in the right direction, I drew up a letter, wrote up a letter, and I emailed it out to those 50 or so people I had on that list. And I said, look, this is what my idea is. I would appreciate your feedback. And if you think that this is worthy, if you think this is something that can fly, then please join me on this journey. And I was really surprised and happy that I got a lot of good initial feedback. And a lot of people saying, count me in. Sure. And that's what convinced me to continue moving forward with this. And it was about that time that I knew that it was going to be all about a good website. And that's when I contacted Kate. And she was very instrumental in helping me move this forward as quickly and as professionally as it has to this point. And obviously she's
she's aces. Cheers to Kate. That's what I was holding this up for. So.
Cheers right here.
Grab a glass, Kat. Come on.
One thing we're very, very aware of is that when it comes to social media, she is a queen in the craft beer world.
She has put Dave and I in our place for a while now. So,
I think on one of the shows, John Hall referred to her as the hardest working woman.
Hardest working woman in craft beer, right there. Yes, that is a quote. That's a direct quote. That is not Dave and I paraphrasing. John Hall.
That's direct quote.
Kat is the hardest working woman in craft beer right now.
Very fitting.
Now we know that John is one of those 50 people, right? That you reached out to, Marty.
The John in front of me, or
no? John Hall.
John Hall.
Oh, John Hall. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I didn't. And the reason why I didn't was because
you're afraid he would steal it from you, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
And I apologize because I'm thinking of John Hall. He was the owner of Goose Island.
Right. No, John
John
Howe.
H.
John Howe.
Yes.
John Hall.
Holl. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. In fact, I did reach
Bow
out to him.
tie John Hall. Right.
Bow tie John Hall. Yes, I did reach out to him. He is considered on our board of advisors. He hasn't been particularly vociferous. He hasn't shared a lot.
Oh, do you want us to kick him in the ass for you? We'll kick him in the ass.
I will drive over and meet him tomorrow and kick him in the ass.
No, he is behind the scenes.
He lives about 25 miles away from me and about 35 miles away from Dave. So
Okay, yeah.
He's halfway between us almost.
He is being very supportive, even though he's not directly involved, and I appreciate that much.
Well, it's funny because two of your board of advisors we've had on the show and are friends of the program and personal friends of ours. Tara Nurin is another one.
Sure. Tara, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I made a conscious effort to get people not only from around the country. I wanted good representation from different regions of the country. I also wanted to make sure that it wasn't a bastion of maleness. I didn't want everybody saying that's just a bunch of old white guys. That
oh no, 100%. No.
Because
the furthest thing from my mind. So
because the craft beer industry has been dominated by that, even though that's not its roots. That's not its history. If you've ever read Tara Nurin's book,
A Woman's Place in the Brew House. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Please read if you have to the listeners. If you've not read that book, read that book, and that'll really
read Tara Nurin's book. Read Marty's books. Read John's books. And I went, and I'll throw this out there right now. I haven't done this yet on the show. It's probably going to be another couple of years, but I'm working on one.
All right.
Oh, God help us all.
I'll leave it at that. That's it.
That's going to be so pedantic. It's going to be.
Oh no, Dave, you're the feature in the book. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, Jesus.
Not at all.
So Marty, we're going to get back to the Hall of Fame, but I'm laughing my ass off because it's Douglas's last two comments.
Yeah, I got to put these up really quick.
You got to put these up because from someone from Chicago, we need to know.
First of all, I want to preface this by putting Doug's first comment up, which was 2 hours ago.
Yeah, Slancha, Doug. Slancha.
And he said Slancha. Okay. So he's committed because he's still watching the show, right? He said, Marty, what are your thoughts on Mallard? Has a Chicago brewer has a beer ever done anything with a beer with Mallard? What would you pair with Mallard? And then hold on, before you answer that, he said Josh Knoll's book on Mallard dropped yesterday.
Right.
The first thing that I would pair with Mallard would be Alka-Seltzer.
I was going to say Pepto-Bismol.
6 of 1, right? Exactly.
I've never drank it. Can you describe what it tastes like?
No. Okay, Mallard. So we're talking about when you're in an Uber and you throw up in the Uber. If you throw up in a bucket, ferment that, and you've got Mallard.
You got Mallard, right?
I've had the
yeah. She's like, oh, I've had that before.
No, I've had this other stuff. It's
You're talking about. Are you talking about this?
Yes.
Okay.
I've had that.
No. That's yummy.
Yeah.
Mallard is it's almost a test of your manlyhood, womanlyhood.
Why does it taste like that? What's in it?
Okay. I believe it's wormwood is what gives it its specific
wormwood.
flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% wormwood. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. If I may correct you guys, I hope you don't mind. It's Malort.
Malort.
I know it's Malort. You're correcting John because I'm
Mallard. Yeah.
Because I've drank with the guys from Proof Brewing out of Proof is out of Tallahassee, Florida, and down at Hunapoo Day. They brought a bottle of Malort with them to Hunapoo. And we all, before they released the hounds, before they opened the gates, we were all drinking Malort to start the day off.
Why?
Because everything else after that would taste wonderful. And we all toasted with Malort. And you know what? That particular Hunapoo Day, Proof Brewing won Brewer of the show and Best Beer of the show. So Malort has strength to it, and it's got magic.
In Chicago, they call Malort a shot of Malort with an old style beer that's called the Chicago Handshake.
The Chicago handshake. Yes, I've actually heard that. I have.
Whereas with the right hand, they're shaking your hand. With the left hand, you're taking a knife to the gut.
Right.
That's the Chicago handshake.
Is it an East Coast thing? Because like when I go out to bars in Seattle and Portland, they're all drinking Underberg. So
no, it's a Midwest thing. It's very much a Chicago thing. Yeah,
very much.
But it's bleeding out into other realms.
Yeah,
almost tragically.
Just to answer Kate's question from a minute ago, rather than me tell you what it tastes like, and I'm not going to tell you to go try it, although at some point in your life you should, just go online and Google Malort and see what other people use as description.
God, it's hilarious. I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah. Doug just said Wormwood indeed, and he said Chicago thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's bleeding out. It's definitely bleeding out.
Yeah. And Josh Knoll is a Chicago writer. That's why he's done this book on Malort.
He's done the book, Josh Knoll. Yeah, absolutely, from Chicago. Yeah, sure. But yeah,
no, back to the Hall of Fame.
Yes, let's get back to the Hall of Fame.
So, do you already have a year one inductee class?
No, hold on. On that note, so
what's the process?
So for what you've read, what you've written on the website so far is that each year you're going to have 10 nominees and get 5 inductees into the Hall of Fame. But the first year you're going to have 20 nominees and have 10 inductees for the first year.
Yes.
So where are you in that process for the first year?
Ironically, I am going to be sending out we're using SurveyMonkey to do our work for.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's fantastic to do that.
Putting out information and getting it back safely.
Sure.
Later on this week, I'm going to be sending out that first survey to all of the people who are our advisors, and asking them for their nominations. And we have certain stipulations. Look for this. Don't nominate these people for certain reasons. And by the way, there are no people on our board of advisors who have any affiliation with a brewery. No brewery owners, no brewers, nobody that has any affiliation that we know of that can be vetted that are on the advisory.
That's awesome.
Which means I can never be an advisor, but Dave, you can.
But I can.
Yeah. Hey.
I can get a vote.
So that initial email is going to be going out later this week. We're going to give the advisors about 2 weeks to get back with us with their nominations. We're based on the numbers. We have X amount of 50 advisors if everybody answers the email, and then across, if each one of them is submitting 10 nominees,
right?
We'll see how the numbers play out. Like, for instance, Charlie Papazian is likely to be on most everybody's list.
he's clearly going. He's a shoo-in. He's going.
A shoo-in. And somebody like maybe Ken Grossman, he's probably going to be on.
That's the second person that came to my mind.
You know what? Yeah, he was on my list. Charlie was on Dave's. Ken was on mine. So.
Yeah. So we're talking the same language here. We know who's most likely to be on that first list, but some people are probably going to be more regionally minded. Or some people might not be thinking. They might be thinking more about, okay, this guy was, Fred Eckert, a very famous and popular writer in his day. Unfortunately, he's passed away a while ago. People today might not be as aware of his presence and his influence.
Of course, it falls
he
by the
may
way
not
that
make
all the
that
time.
first ballot. And I'm just giving maybes. We'll see how this all plays out. The actual ballot, when all the nominees have been vetted, that ballot will then go out in early October, and we hope to have all of the ballots back by mid-October. We're going to be announcing the finalists, the inductees for 2024 in the last week of October. Now, we have purposefully pushed back the announcement date because we are currently working with a couple of breweries across the country. Our goal is to have at least one brewery in each region of the United States, each time zone, I should say.
Right.
So East Coast, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. We have a couple on board already. We are going to do this very publicly. We want to do it, streaming. Kate's going to be a big part of this. I hope she understands that. But we're going to make the announcement very publicly. These 4 breweries, 4 or more, are going to have a viewing party. I don't know if that's the correct term for it, at the brewery, and they're also going to brew a special small batch beer, which we have a name set aside for that special beer for that day. So we are trying to make it as big as much pop as we can put behind it.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you something, Marty?
Please.
I certainly hope, because you're organizing it, that you have not excluded yourself from the nominees. Because as far as I'm concerned, you should be one of the nominees. And eventually, even though you're the organizer of it, you should eventually, as far as I'm concerned, maybe first batch. But you should be there. You are... Again, this is not pandering, as John likes to use. It's not to smoke up your ass. When John and I first started this podcast, we were talking about guests we'd love to have on the show. Yes, Charlie's on that list. Ken's on that list. Sam's on that list. Jim's on that list. You were on that list. So I know
the first, without blowing smoke up your ass, as Dave just mentioned, that I say, of the first 10 names,
you were on it.
Charlie, Ken, Sam, Jim. Of the first 10, you were in that first 10 with those guys. So.
You were in that batch, and don't underplay your importance to the craft beer world.
Absolutely.
Maybe when I'm dead.
Well, we can't have you on the show then.
No. This posthumous doesn't work for us.
Yeah, exactly.
in this
well, Dave, we can have a Ouija board. Well, who's to say that you and I are going to outlive him? I mean, come on. Son.
Yeah. The way I drink, I'll probably be the first gone. We shall see. But please do not put a caveat on there where you've excluded yourself from it. And the thing is, I've seen your list. I've seen your list of advisors. I think they're going to push you. Mm-hmm. I think you might be surprised to see you amongst the nominees.
Well, those are very kind words, and I sincerely appreciate them. It's also a little bit uncomfortable, knowing that the industry is 40 plus years in the making,
sure.
And knowing how many important, influential people have come before. That's flattering, guys, but I'm not.
Well, you're definitely going in before Billy Carter. Okay.
Take that. But the thing is, you're right. There's so many influential people, and you mentioned it earlier. There's so many that are unrecognized. That people. There's the regional thing. There's the time thing as well. Again, there's so many people in Tara Nurin's book.
Oh yeah! Absolutely.
That don't get the recognition they deserve. But then there's also those voices for those people, and even before this Hall of Fame, you were one of those voices. So don't sell that short, because that's a very, very important part of the industry.
Very important part. Absolutely.
I agree, and I'm hoping that I can live up to those expectations. I have high expectations of myself and of this Hall of Fame. And it's my goal, it's my intention to make sure this Hall of Fame lives up to everybody's expectations and then some. Wish me luck.
Well,
absolutely.
So. Always. And through the whole process, as things get announced and all, don't listen to the naysayers. Because you're always going to get that. Like with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame always announces their class, there's always those people who are going, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? This is stupid. That's stupid. Ignore all that. You've got a really amazing set of advisors there. They know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And those of us who've been in this for a long time, we understand who these people are, first of all, and where their opinions lie and who they're going to put in there. So we're really looking forward to this first class.
Mhm.
And the second class, the third class, the 82nd class, if God forbid we live that long.
I don't know about God forbid. I mean, that just means we're enjoying more beer, right? So,
no, we might get to the point where just on life support we're not allowed to drink anymore. That's why I say God forbid.
I mean, it's semantics at that point. So, cool. Hey, you know what? I think it's time.
Oh, we're gonna spring this on him?
I think we're gonna spring it on.
Well, because he's a beer taster, we can do this. Because
we can do this. We can do this because he's a beer taster. Normally, we let everybody know beforehand, right? We didn't plan on a top 3 for tonight. We do a top 3 list every show, and this being almost our 200th show, 4 years in the making, 4+ years in the making. We've had more than just beer related top 3s, right? But obviously this one is beer related. But we didn't know, because this is such a unique show. We never, I mean, this is 2 shows, right?
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know, when you're listening to this is going to be separated audio wise. This is live video, obviously, but this is going to be separated into 2 audio shows. So you're listening right now. If you're hearing me talk, you're listening to the second.
yes, I can hear you fucking talk, John.
Second of the audio show. Anyway, but in any event, we're going. We didn't know how long we were going to go. It's going a little long now, obviously, but we have time. We're going to do a top 3.
No, we've done over 3 hours.
Well, no, for Marty, I want to keep him on for 3 hours if that's the case, right? The people we've had on for 3 hours, we've had on multiple shows, and they're used to it and they know it. But we're not going to have Marty on for 3 hours on his first show, so right. But in any event, so it's time. We're going to do a top 3 list, but tonight's top 3 list, and we do a top 3 because Dave and I say this all the time, and I'm just saying this for Marty now. Anybody that's longtime listener of the show,
Cat's heard the spiel.
Cat's aware of this, right? We do a top 3 because, one, the first time we did a top 3 list, it was just Dave and I, and top 3 we referred to, it was just the 2 of us. So 3 and 3 we referred to the repeal of prohibition, 1933, right? So 3 and 3. And the second reason is because a top 5 or a top 10 would take way too long. So
because we never stick to 3.
Because we usually go 4 or 5 anyway, or more.
I'm sticking to 3 this time.
I'm sticking to 3 as well. But anyway, tonight's top 3 list is top 3 most hated off flavors in beer. Most hated. I mean, there's more than 3, obviously, but the most hated off flavors. Top 3 most hated off flavors in beer. Marty, please have at it. Number 1.
That's an easy one for me.
We figured.
But there's a reason why I'm going to choose the 3 that I am. Number 1 is vanilla. First of all.
So you're going 1, 2, 3, not 3, 2, 1.
Or no order.
No orders, fine. It's fine.
Okay. I would say that vanilla is up there because, first of all, I don't think brewers know how to use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
I think when they put vanilla into a beer, what you're tasting is vanilla and then some beer behind it. Secondly, I think they put vanilla in beers where it really doesn't belong. And I'm just, I love porter. It's one of my favorite styles. If I see another goddamn vanilla porter, I'm going to puke all over.
The only time I like vanilla in a beer is when it is that it's pulled out of the vanillin from a barrel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. To me, that's the only
if the vanilla needs to be there, means to be there, that's fine.
Yeah. So vanilla is one of them. Cinnamon is another one that's overdone. Brewers, I don't think they have a very good, either not a good knowledge of how to use it, or they just, I don't know.
Spice is very unforgiving,
It is a little bit of cinnamon goes a long way. So yeah, they need to pull back on that.
And if you get the heat a little too high with the cinnamon there, it burns.
Exactly.
And becomes caustic. Right.
Oh yeah.
And I find also that cinnamon is usually used in conjunction with other flavors, which it just becomes a mess.
It overpowers.
Different spices and flavorings together. It just doesn't work.
So you're not a fan of Mexican stouts then, if they're not controlled well.
Yeah, I mean that I could say that of just about any beer style if it's not controlled well. I wouldn't call myself a fan necessarily of Mexican stout. I can appreciate it under certain circumstances, but I wouldn't go out of my way to find it.
Okay.
And last but not least, I guess this is kind of on the same wavelength as the cinnamon. God forbid, I don't like pumpkin beers in any way, shape, or form.
Well, go tune in on October 8th.
Marty, every October, John makes me do a pumpkin beer show.
But no, I make you do it because of Brew Guru. That's why I make you do it. So.
And the thing is, it becomes entertaining because of my disgust for pumpkin beers. Because Marty, you know, and I know you know enough about the history that pumpkin beers were born out of necessity because the Pilgrims didn't have crops. Right. They didn't have real soluble sugars.
And by the way, I bridge the gap between Dave and his disdain for pumpkin beers and John's love for his love of pumpkin beers. So I bridge the gap between the two. So,
but the whole point
with all due respect to both of them, there you go. So,
but the whole point is when they brought in their first crop of barley, they never made a pumpkin beer again until Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm more mad at Sam because he popularized it. So you know what? Leave him off that first ballot, please, for that.
So with regards to pumpkin beers, I have had just a couple, I can probably count them on one hand, that actually used real pumpkin as part of the beer making process. It's all those other beers that just use the packets of God knows what, just spice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no pumpkin meat. It's just cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, allspice, and it's
and ginger.
And ginger. And ginger. Yeah, it's just a spice bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we mentioned earlier, and I can say his name a second time. We'll say it the third time. Augie Carton from Carton Brewing made a beer because he was sick and tired of pumpkin beers, and he actually did one called Rav. And Rav, because he's also a foodie, it's actually
that wasn't the first pumpkin beer.
It wasn't the first. It was Scobeyville.
No.
Scobeyville was the second. Rav was the third.
Pumpkin cream was the first one.
Pumpkin cream. He was sick and tired of these pumpkin beers that were just pumpkin spice. So all three of these beers are made with pumpkin. But Rav stands out the most because Rav is based off an Italian recipe of the pumpkin raviolis with bear blanc on top.
And brown butter and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. That's right. Brown butter. You're right. Brown butter, not bear blanc. Brown butter and the biscottis grated across the top. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic beer. It's one of the few pumpkin beers, and it's one of the true pumpkin beers. So yeah, I know where you're going with it.
And pumpkin cream was the first one he did, and it was actually ironic, and not to make this an Augie Carton show, but
you say it 3 times.
I did. Hold on.
Oh God, he's like Beetlejuice.
Hold on. There we go. He pulled.
There he is. There's a jackass. But the thing about
pumpkin cream, he did an imperial cream ale, a 10% imperial, 12% imperial cream ale, 12% imperial cream ale.
He's insane.
He's insane. Yeah, it's crazy. And he put pumpkin meat, he put orange oil, he put pink peppercorns, and he put ginger. So it was a pumpkin soup beer. It wasn't a pumpkin pie beer. So that's what he did.
It was actually pretty good.
It wasn't bad.
No. I like those 3. I like those 3.
They were good.
Kat, are you ready to chime in with your 3?
Yeah, I'm really surprised Marty didn't say diacetyl.
I am actually a diacetyl. I don't want to say lover, but I do.
Diacetyl has its place in beer.
It does, and not enough people recognize that fact.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of my favorite beers, and it's one of the classic beers out there. I think is made better by it, and that Saison DuPont has a slight touch of diacetyl to it to give it this nice creamy feel.
Mm-hmm.
And diacetyl can work in a beer, but Kat, you're damn right. If the diacetyl doesn't belong in a beer, it is going to make that thing god awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I don't know enough about beer to enjoy it, but I'm very sensitive to that flavor. And when I taste it, I'm just like, no.
Do me a favor. Go get yourself a Saison DuPont.
Okay.
Taste a beer where diacetyl is used to make the beer, to enhance the beer. And
Yeah, when diacetyl is used to enhance the beer, it's fine.
Yes, and remember what John just said, because when we get to me, I'm gonna bring that up. But also, you're gonna be tasting one of the classic beers ever brewed. One of those beers that Marty talks about, which are the beers. These are the standard beers.
Yeah.
When you're tasting a style, this is the style you refer to. When you're tasting a Saison DuPont that's a benchmark. It's a benchmark beer.
Well, back in part of the reason I really got into Monkless was, in 2016, I'd been drinking craft beer. I lived in Seattle, quite a lot of hoppy beers for a few years now, and I was just like tired, and
hoppy beers will tire you out. Yes.
Yeah. But we had an amazing Belgian brewery in Washington State. It was, it's now Echoes, but it was, what was it called?
Oh God, I almost made it to Echoes. I was right out there.
Mark Hood is an incredible brewer.
That's Paulsbo.
Poolsbo, yeah, that's a Norwegian town, little Norwegian town. So it's got a bunch of Norway themed breweries.
I went to Slippery Pig, but I didn't get to any of the others.
Oh yeah, it's a good
Long
spot.
story.
Pretty
town too.
Yes, but this brewery was amazing, and I was really sad when they closed. And so it was basically Mark Hood Spears and Monkless. And once I discovered Monkless, I was like, okay, that's it, and I drank a lot of that beer. And I drank a lot of, I was always looking for Belgians, looking for imports. There we have a lot of good bottle shops in Oregon. So I was able to find a lot of imports. But so yeah, I should appreciate diacetyl. I don't like the taste.
It's
Yeah.
Agreed. It's wrong in some beers. So what's your number 2?
I would say the false fruit, somebody gives me a fruit beer. I just don't like that fake fruit flavor, the extract.
Yeah.
Just put real fruit in the beer.
It's like fruitness.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And next one?
I would just say the grassy hops, you have there's all different types of hops, but there's this one grassy hop and it just turns me off. It's just so.
Saz?
I don't know what it is. There's just one particular hop. It's very I'm into resiny is okay, but there's one, it's just grassy, just pure grass flavor,
Right.
just grass. Tastes like.
Marty,
Hey.
other than Saz, do you know any other hops that throw grass like that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Maybe it's sauce.
Yeah, because that's a personal, but that fits right into it. The most hated.
100%. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dave.
For me, number 1 is when
You're going 1, 2, 3?
No, I'm going 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, 3, 2, 1. So I'm a huge Imperial Stout fan.
Mm-hmm.
Classic Imperial Stout is it's built on Maris Otter malts. It's a 2-row malt. Maris Otter, fresh, it has kind of this almost cherry Twizzler flavor to it. It's easy to pick it out for me. As it ages and deteriorates,
which accentuated actually helps the beer.
it can.
Okay.
The thing is, sometimes that cherry Twizzler flavor works against adjuncts.
True story.
So, but for me, Maris Otter, when it starts to break down, there's stages it goes through, and eventually it gets to this licorice kind of flavor. And because I'm such a huge fan of imperial stouts, when I drink an imperial stout and I taste licorice, I cry. I put on black mascara. I go straight up goth. It's just so wrong for me when Maris turns into licorice. It's just it's a bad look on it, and it's one of my favorite styles. So when it gets there, I'm just not happy. Number two for me, and this happens a lot in IPAs. We just lost Kat.
We lost Kat. We did.
Apparently, she loves Maris Otter. She loves licorice. And
She's like, forget it. I love Maris Otter. Out of here.
I'm out. But, for me, with a lot of IPAs, and it happens a lot with the single IPAs, because double IPAs have enough alcohol to keep this from happening, is when everything kind of deteriorates, ages, and you kind of get that wet cardboard flavor.
Oh, sure.
That is such a turnoff for me. Marty, you in your book, you write what that chemical is. I forget what the chemical is. There's a chemical that throws that, and that's when an IPA deteriorates. And it's just to me, that's such a turnoff. I usually drain pour those beers.
Well, it's oxidized, right? Cardboard is oxidized.
Yeah, there's an oxidization, but when you get an IPA that oxidizes, there's two oxidations that occur. There's the malts, which is that wet cardboard, and then you get the hops, which then also oxidize, and you almost get like a sulfuric sense, and not the good sulfur, that cat piss that a lot of people like in their IPAs. It's the bad sulfur where it's just undrinkable.
Right.
So when you get a beer that's done both, and our last show I had one of those, and it's only because I let that can too long. It's nothing against the brewer. It's just I held the can too long. Right. It's a can double IPA. What the hell am I holding it for? How long did I hold it for? Almost a year before I drank it, John?
At least a year. Yeah.
At least a year. So that's on me. It's not on the brewer. I'm not gonna bash the brewer on it, because we're friends with the brewer, as a matter of fact. But I can't stand when you get that wet cardboard, because the wet cardboard, even if the hops haven't deteriorated to that point of sulfur, the wet cardboard will make the hops unrecognizable. It's gone. But my number one, and this goes to something that was said earlier, is the overuse of lactose.
Yeah.
I have said it so many damn times on this show. Lactose to beer is like salt in food. You lose a little bit of it, you've enhanced a beer. If you've gone too far to the point where you've changed the mouthfeel of the beer, you've destroyed the beer. There's no going back. This I can't stand when people have overused lactose. Lactose has its place in beer. It absolutely does. Milk stouts are based off of this. And the best milk stouts are amazing, but they don't overdo it. They don't change the mouthfeel. You still got that lovely velvet of a milk stout. You go too far, and you start getting that it's almost like the only way I could describe it is like a powdered milk kind of mouthfeel. Yep. And if you've gone to that point, close your brewery. You're done. I'm sorry. You've or if it's the first time you've done it, if all of your beers taste this way, close your brewery. The first time you've done it, rethink your life choices. Come back to us, brew the good beer that you've made in the past. Overuse of lactose, and there's breweries that live off their lactose. Angry Chair in Tampa lives off that lactose. They know how to use it. They absolutely know how to use it. Yeah, there's some beers I think they've gone a little too far, and I really think they should set up insulin stations in their brewery. I actually said that to a brewer once. It's a brewery that's a friend of ours. I'm not going to mention them right now.
I won't mention them either.
That's great. I'll mention them. Bolero Snort, because I said this right to one of the owners. You need a lactose station. He goes, you're not wrong, because they use so much lactose. And we made fun of them, and John Hall's made fun of them for their lactose use. He called them a
cat's back, by the way.
There she is. He actually said that it should be a registered dairy at this point. So So we've had fun with, but I
Should be a registered dairy. Absolutely could be.
Yeah, I can't stand it when they've gone too far on the lactose. That to me, that's a major crime to me.
Yeah, if I could change my list, I would put lactose on. Definitely. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a bad one. John, it's on to you.
It's on to me. All right, look, I agree with all of you on everyone you've said, but these are my top three. My number three is astringency. I just can't stand too much tea bag flavor in my beer. Right? It's just, if I want that, I'm gonna have tea. All right.
Yeah, it's like when you've taken a Hefeweizen and there is just so much clove and not enough balancing banana.
It's not balanced, right? And that goes for any beer. Anything that balances the beer, you don't want that. It's just too much into one direction, right? My number two, and Marty, obviously, you'll know, come on the show again. I fly through mine since I go last, right? So,
and he has to change his top three because
sometimes I change it, sometimes I don't. But my number two is Dave's number two. It's cardboard. I can't stand oxidization, And I mentioned this before when Kat was talking about aging beer, right? Clearly, we all know that some barrel-aged beers and stouts and barley wines and so forth and so on, they change and they actually could get better with oxidization. Oxidizing.
Same thing. Yeah, you
Same.
had it right the first time.
Same difference. Oxidization. Yeah.
You've had three triples, so you're excused.
That's my point. Yeah, exactly. Well, you had a quad in there too, but you only had a 12-ounce bottle. I had a 16.9 ounce.
I'm not done with it yet.
Boom, yeah.
I'm done with my two triples.
In any event, yeah, no. So, yeah, oxidization actually works well in like I remember having. Oh, geez, it was probably 10 years ago at this point. A 10-year-old at that point, more than that, 10 or 12-year-old, you're drinking a Weyerbacher quad. Yeah. I had a Weyerbacher. It was either the quad or it was a barrel aged. It was either the quad or it was the chocolate stout or something like that. I forget what was the chocolate stout that Weyerbacher did.
They just called it chocolate stout.
No, it was something else. It had a name.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. It had a name. But either way, I had that, and it was 10 or 12 years at that point.
You just went Jim Croce.
I did, yeah. And it was horribly oxidized, but it was fantastic. It was so good.
Well, that's an interesting thing about oxidization.
The leather and the tobacco in that beer that I drank that day was amazing.
But the thing is, oxidization in lighter beers and darker beers is different.
Of course, absolutely.
Right, so you get
some beers it works, some beers it doesn't. Right, you want if you're aging beer specifically to age it, obviously the darker beers and the barrel-aged beers that's going to work for you.
But when darker beers oxidize badly, that's when you get the pennies.
That's when you get the pennies. Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And my number one though, and it's been this way since the first time I had a beer. All right, I'll preface what this off flavor is by saying since the first time I had a Heineken.
Oh God, Light Struck.
I can't stand Light Struck beers. Done. That's my number one by far. No need to embellish on that. It's Light Struck, my number one though.
Just so everybody knows, glass is not the best receptacle for a beer, especially green or clear.
Yeah.
Brown's a little better, still not good.
If you get a beer in green glass, all right, just make sure it was bottled maybe 3 days ago. Then you're good.
No one in this country has ever drank a good old speckled hen. Ever.
No. Unless it's on draft.
You need to put Doug's comment up because it's hilarious.
Is it? Oh, yes. Yeah, there you go. He said, all off flavors will taste wonderful after a shot of Malort. Go Chicago.
says the Red Sox fan.
Says the Red Sox fan, exactly.
Who lives in Maryland?
He lives in Maryland right now. Yeah, Doug, you're in Maryland right now, right, Doug? But he grew up in the Northeast. He grew up with.
Oh, Doug never grew up just like the rest of us.
This is true.
Next time I come on the show, I'll have to drink some Malort and give you guys a live reaction.
Please.
Oh,
do.
you got to find. Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
You'll have to find some. Actually, you know what? We'll all make sure we're on the show. Well, obviously, I will be, and Dave will be. Marty will be on the show too. And you need to. Here's the thing: you can't drink it before. You have to drink it the first time. You have to take your first sip of Malort on the show.
Okay.
We need to see the heave.
Bring it on.
Almost everyone who's drank Malort ahead of time for the first time has that.
Exactly.
The
Why
best
did
thing
you
is
drink it then?
it's
because
it's
chef on Christmas morning.
exactly. There you go. I like that one. There you go.
It's a badge of courage.
You've done it. You can say you've done it.
It's
You
something
can join the crowd that can bust everyone else's chops that they haven't done it.
I see.
One of my proudest moments is when I drank it with proof for the first time at Hunapu. They gave me a shot of it, and they're watching me. Dave and Al are watching me, and I take the shot down. I just look at them, that's an interesting flavor. And they're like, how did you not heave? You have no idea some of the crap I've drank. It's oof. Yeah, so if you do this, Kat, get the bottle. Do not taste it beforehand.
Okay.
We need to see this live.
We need to see it live. Yeah, exactly.
You'll have to do a top 3 of the worst beers because I definitely have some candidates for that. One of those was a wild.
The only problem I have with that is we do not like to disparage breweries on the show or their beers.
Worst beer styles.
Let's put it this way: least favorite beer styles. There's no
Least
such
favorite
thing.
beer styles.
There's no such thing as a worst
favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no such thing as the worst beer style. It's your least
favorite beer styles. I like that. Least favorite beer styles.
Because John, you know what my statement is on Untapped and someplace else. Drink what you like. Let others drink what they like. Don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche. Except
unless they're drinking
seltzers.
Hard seltzers. Yeah.
Hard seltzers, yes.
Feel free to be a douche to someone drinking a hard seltzer.
Yeah.
Have at it.
I wanted to mention also about the pumpkins. You know, there's a brewery in Seattle that makes more pumpkin beers than any in the country.
That would be Elysian. Yeah, Elysian.
Yeah, they have for their pumpkin fest this year. They have 80 of them. 80.
Yeah. So somewhere in there's a good pumpkin beer, maybe.
Well, the best part about that is they do one that I actually do like.
Punkachino.
I love Punkachino. And when Anheuser-Busch first took them over, Anheuser-Busch ran a commercial.
On the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl commercial.
During the Super Bowl.
3 months after taking them over. Mm-hmm. And made fun of Punkachino specifically. No, Punkachino specifically. They said an espresso pumpkin beer.
Right.
And it's like, how do their marketing department and their acquisitions department not talk to each other?
Because no. It was genius, and I'm going to tell you why. Everybody that hated craft beer jumped on board. Everybody that loved craft beer said, "Hey, you can't say that about craft beer,"
which got them attention. Negative publicity, still publicity.
100%. So.
And I got to say, I'm one of those that I don't like ever giving my money to Anheuser-Busch. But when I stayed in Seattle, I stayed in Cap Hill, a block and a half from Elysian.
You had to go. Well, you were doing the same thing when you were in Nashville. Same as me. When I was in anytime I've been in Asheville. Anytime I go to Asheville, I'm going to Wicked Weed, right? So,
I'm going
to Funkatorium. Yeah, exactly.
You got to go to Funkatorium. You got to go when you're there. But when I was in Elysian, I would not drink Space Dust because Space Dust is brewed by Anheuser-Busch, not by Elysian anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as Goose Island, right? They're
Urban Wheat,
IPA, Urban Wheat, 312. All of those, they're brewed by AB. Yeah. Everything else is brewed by Goose Island.
Urban Wheat was such a great gateway beer.
It was a great gateway beer until AB started brewing it.
And it got ruined. It absolutely got ruined. Yeah.
Don't give your money to big beer. Donate to the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame.
I like where you went there. Wait a second.
Yeah, Pat's putting that tagline on the website as we speak.
I like that. So yeah, we got to get that up there. There is a donation site.
It's on the website.
It's on the website. Okay.
Yeah.
And the
website is? I mean, we'll put it up as well. We'll share it on the Facebook page, but say it for anybody that's listening to the audio podcast.
www.AmericanCraftBeerHallOfFame.com. All one word.
All one word. AmericanCraftBeerHallOfFame.com.
Correct. Yep.
And one thing that we haven't mentioned in the show is that it is a nonprofit organization.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right. So if your company does matches and you have the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame has the right qualifications to it,
Sure.
your company can match your donation.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
The Hall of Fame is a 501c3.
that's it. That's the one right there. Thank you for remembering the numbers, Marty. so yeah, you donate to them and your company has matching. Johnny, does your company have matching?
We do. Yeah, we do.
That's because it's Johnny's company. He's one of the owner's partners. But the company I work for, we do have matching. So when we get to what we call that giving day or something, there's something. I'll make sure to throw something in there and get my company to match.
That would be awesome.
That's a beautiful thing.
Just so you know, our plan is once our bills are covered, whatever excess we have is going to be donated back into the industry. It's intended to go into the craft beer industry.
And that's the whole thing about the craft beer industry. The craft beer industry gives back to itself.
100%.
I was, God, where were we? How it came up, but I was talking about when we had the hop shortage.
Mm-hmm.
Right, there's a big hop shortage across this country, and Jim Cook went and he sold hops to all the local breweries at cost because he had an excess of them, and to him it was more important to see the industry survive, to see his neighbors survive. That's always been one of the great things about this industry, right?
It has been. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This being Jim Cook.
Yes, that dude. Right. Oh, this is I thought we were going to go a whole show without you pulling up a selfie. We almost made it.
Almost
Made it. So, anyway, so that was great top threes there. Great top threes.
Cool. All right. Yeah, no, it's great top threes, 100%. All right. Listen, Marty, we want to have you back on the show. There's a lot more that Dave and I want to discuss with you. So
Absolutely.
we'll talk to you after the show. But we want to thank you for coming on the show. We want to thank you for everything you've done. Kat, we want to thank you for setting everything up with Marty and with Todd and having everything go off as it did. This doesn't
happen with your energy, your passion, your exuberance.
This doesn't happen without your energy, your passion, your exuberance.
And persistence.
Ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working woman in craft beer. There you go.
Yes.
Right there.
thank you.
Yeah,
I've got more beers for you, so those will be coming to you soon.
Awesome.
Awesome.
We got it. We got some stuff for you too. I got some stuff for you too. So and Marty and Todd actually. So we'll make that happen. But in any event, stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Will those beers have that logo on your hat?
The beers may have the logo on my hat. I was going to say they may not, but no, they'll have the logo on my hat.
Eventually, it'll come out again. Marty, you say you don't particularly like vanilla porters. What do you think of coffee porters?
I do appreciate a good coffee beer. I find it very interesting when they are lighter beers, meaning paler beers with coffee in them.
I think we're gonna have to send him a regular coffee in January. So.
Yeah, and we've already said it 3 times. We've already showed him up, but Augie Carton Brewing, we actually feel, because he's been doing it for so long, almost, there's the asshole right there. And I say that with all love.
We love him. Yeah, there you go.
But Regular Coffee. The working title for it was "Fuck Your Stout," because everyone wanted him to do a coffee.
It's that 12% cream ale base, same as the pumpkin ale I mentioned earlier. Same exact 12% cream ale base with lactose and coffee.
But the right amount of lactose.
The right amount of lactose. Not,
but he also,
no, really done. Just.
But he also,
it's a regular. It's called regular coffee, right? It's a coffee with 2 creams and a sugar.
It's a very Jersey thing. You go into any Jersey breakfast joint, go regular coffee, and you're going to get a coffee with 3 and 2 sugars. That's how it works. But he also does the regular versions, which are he's got an Irish coffee version of it, a Corretto coffee. My favorite is what's
Cafe
the one?
Churro. He's got the Revolver, which is the old fashioned.
He's got the French coffee that's aged in brandy barrels, which is just the intricacies of that beer. I don't think a lot of people get that. So
there's probably about 6 or 7 different versions.
There's more than that now. There's more than that now, for better or worse. I think he's run the gamut and kind of beaten the thing to death.
There's 6 or 7 for better. How's that?
What's the one with rum and coconut in it? It's aged in rum barrels on coconut.
St. Kitts.
St. Kitts. That's that and the French coffee. I think are my 2 favorites of the regular coffee school. But regular coffee, he's been doing this for so long. I think the light colored coffee ale. He may have been one of the
beer. You, if you blind taste test it, you think you're drinking a dark beer. You know that beer. But we'll get you some of that. But Dave's referring to a beer we do. But we'll talk more about that after we wrap up the show.
If you look over John's shoulder, you see a can that's purple. That is Nautical Twilight. That is my favorite beer that he makes.
That one right there. There you go.
It's a coffee porter. It's fantastic.
Coffee porter. There you go. 6.5%. But yeah, we'll talk more about that afterwards. So the show's about Monkless and Marty, so it's not about Coastal. So we talk about Coastal too.
I just want to mention because you're going to send them beer.
Well, I'm going to send them beer too, obviously. Yeah. So it is our sponsor. So in that event, but in any event, on that note, closing notes. Kat, anything?
Thank you for this opportunity. You guys are amazing.
You're amazing, Kat. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for arranging this. Absolutely.
Thank you for being you. And there's a lot to that, and we'll you know what we're talking about. And we'll embellish on that afterwards. But thank you for being you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marty, any closing notes on your end?
I thank you very much for having me on, and I appreciate all the kind words and the opportunity to talk about Craft Beer Hall of Fame.
100%.
Really appreciate that, and Kate, of course, all of your work putting this together, and also your work with the Hall of Fame.
My pleasure, Marty.
Appreciated.
Thank you.
Marty, please know that we are going to be pushing the Hall of Fame. We will put it out there as often as we can.
Anything you put out, anything Kat puts out, anything out, it will be echoed on the Log Room guys across our platform. So,
because when the Hall of Fame was mentioned, I was like, yes, finally. So we're really, really, really excited about it because we have been craft beer nerds, and this is John and I are both nerds in this case since the early '80s.
Yeah.
Since the early '80s,
there's gray on this face for a reason, as is his.
We've probably been drinking craft beer longer than Kat's been alive.
Kat's been alive.
So, and it's interesting because you're being you in the Midwest and we're on the West Coast, and
East Coast.
We're the East Coast.
That's on the West Coast. We're on the East Coast.
I just got back from the West Coast.
This is true. Yeah.
But like your original, craft beers that you drank, and John and I are both the same. It was Boston Lager for us.
Oh yeah.
That's most of the East Coast. That's most of the East Coast.
Right. I mean, there was plenty of beer I had before that, and Dave had before that. But the first craft beer that would be considered a craft beer today was Boston Lager, and Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was a close second.
Three or four.
It was number 3 or 4. Yeah, Harpoon Pale Ale was our was our Harpoon IPA rather.
Our first IPA.
Was our first IPA.
My number two may have been Voodoo Blackened, actually.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah. But Sierra Nevada Pale, and if you start getting into whatchamacallit,
Anchor?
no, from
Russian River?
no, I wish.
This is before. This is probably still
way before. Yeah, I'm talking about
Two-Hearted.
Yeah, no, up in Boston. Definitely came from Boston.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
It's got the schooner and the light blue label.
Oh, Scrimshaw? No, sorry, that's
No.
North Coast.
That's North Coast. That's North Coast. Yeah.
Old.
Where was Shipyard?
Oh, Shipyard's in there. Shipyard's definitely a top dozen. But no, I'm referring to oh damn, why can't I think of it? Oh my god.
Three.
You have to tell Todd that it's his fault that I can't.
Yeah, blame Todd on this. But because we had back then there was Black and Voodoo, there was and then Celis came over to the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peter Celis came over to the U.S.
And
I'm going to Austin in August. And
Pete's Wicked.
In April. Pete's Wicked.
Pete's
That's
Wicked.
Not Boston.
Oh, that's the one.
Well, I mean, it's New England.
It's New England. But Pete's Wicked. And Pete's Wicked was like one of the early Christmas sales I ever had.
No, whatchamacallit, Catamount. That was the Catamount IPA was my Catamount IPA, I got to tell you, was the reason that to this day, Sierra Nevada Celebration is my favorite holiday beer but it started with Catamount IPA.
Actually, my first favorite holiday beer was Harpoons.
Oh, Winter Warmer.
Yeah.
Winter Warmer is fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely. We should exchange East and West Coast holiday beers.
If you haven't had these, clearly you've had Sierra Nevada Celebration, obviously,
yeah.
But if you haven't had Harpoon Winter Warmer, we got to get.
But Winter Warmer is not what it used to be.
It's not. It's not.
So
it's still good. It's not. It's still good. It's not bad. It's still good, but it's not what it was.
I would hesitate to send it to her because it's not what it was.
But if she's never had it, it's fine. Because she'll never have what we had before.
Anchor makes a holiday beer as well, or they did.
Who's that?
Anchor Steam.
Hold
on. You talking about? Are you talking about this stuff?
Yeah.
You
have one.
John's got a yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, look at the year. There you go.
2016.
There you go.
Yeah, I've got these going back to I think before 2000.
Oh, you need to drink those.
I had
They aged so damn well, it's ridiculous.
I had in 2013 we did an 18-year vertical. In 2013, we did an 18-year vertical. 96 through 2013, we did an 18-year vertical, and we took a picture of it and we put it up on Twitter. It's now X, obviously. It was Twitter at the time. Anchor commented back, "How the hell did you get all these beers?" We saved them. That's why. But we did an 18-year vertical, and I got to be honest with you, from 96 to 2013, to this day, I remember 98 was the best year. That year, right then that we drank it, 98 was the best drinking of those 18 years that we had.
Ooh, that's the year I moved to San Francisco for college.
98.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think I speak for myself and Dave and Marty when I say that 98 you moved to San Francisco for college. Mm-hmm. I do this. There
you go. Marty, what's your feel of the Anchor Christmas and New Year's Eve beer?
What's my feeling?
Yeah, what's your experience with it? What's your thoughts on it?
I was never really a fan. I mean, I hate to say that. I know it's kind of blasphemous.
No. I kind of get that because it can be a shit show of a beer sometimes.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sometimes it can be, absolutely.
I really appreciated the fact that they did this, as a tradition.
Sure.
I love the label, the fact that they change the tree every year.
Absolutely.
They change the spicing. And that's where it kind of lost me. I didn't find all of them that pleasant to drink.
Some of them were good, some of them were not.
Correct.
And some of them were fantastic. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't, based on most of my experiences with those, I did not go out of my way to find them.
I completely get that because I'm a huge fan of single barrel bourbon. And when you get the single barrel bourbon, sometimes you will get a bottle of bourbon where it's just nothing but tar and creosote, and it's taking all the worst stuff out of the barrel. But every now and then you're going to get that one that is just spectacular. And that's why I like the single barrel. It's like drinking, and you know this, it's like drinking Fantôme. Right. Fantôme Brewing is, you can get a barrel that is just absolutely awful, and you can get a bottle from the same batch that is one of the greatest things you've ever put in your face. So I love that every with Anchor's Christmas beer year to year, you don't know what you're getting.
You don't. It's different. It's different every year.
And as you age it, some of these so improve as they age.
They do develop, Marty. They do develop, and I would say probably more. And look, with all due respect to Anchor, and I hope that the Chobani buy-in does, rejuvenate and bring back the brand. I really do, because I love the brand. I love the history. I love everything about it.
Yep.
But I will say, as much as I love Anchor Christmas, and I'm all about the Christmas ales, and I'm all about the holiday ales, everything else, it's probably 40 for me. It's probably 40-60 to what's good, and what's not.
Yeah.
So.
And Kat has just put her purse over. It looks like she's ready.
Kat is leaving.
Oh, it's her.
We have to close up the Abbey. It's not
You're
even
getting
open today.
You're getting kicked out.
I'm kicking myself out. So
Okay. So
beautiful door.
yeah.
That is a gorgeous door. I love that door.
But the door he was talking about is to the other side.
It's on the other side, right?
Oh,
Can you turn your camera so we can see that door?
Oh, this door?
Oh, it is that door.
It is that door. Yeah, no.
It is that door. That is a beautiful door.
Yeah. It's not the front door. It goes back to the brewery.
Oh, that's
what it should do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh God, I gotta get there and get me a shirt. So
all right.
John's gonna close the show. So
I'm gonna close the show.
For a couple
Kat,
minutes.
if you need to hang out, if you can hang out,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take my laptop outside.
You take your laptop outside. I'm gonna close out the show. Marty, stick around because I want to talk to you after the show. We want to talk to you afterwards. But on that note, we will wrap up the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, which is now X, and Twitch every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our audio host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, CastBox, Deezer, Podchaser, Listen Notes, pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast. I
love it when you hit your mic like that.
Like that? There you go. Pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast. I could talk with my hands, right? Pretty much anywhere.
He's also half Italian.
This is true, yeah.
So go figure.
Pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast, you will find the Lager Room Guys. The Lager Room Guys craft beer music.
3 triples. That's 9.
No, hold on. I'm gonna take a sip. Better. Okay.
You better now. Okay, good.
Anywhere you find audio podcasts, you can find the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast. Anyway, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one of our other feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend, Marty. Again, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
There's so much. Dave and I have not even broached the precipice of anything that we want to talk to you about. The surface of anything we want to talk to you about. So we hope to get you back on more than once, other than this, like several times.
I would
But
love, love to.
we will talk to you. We will talk to you about that in a
The
moment.
pipe dream would have him on every show giving tasting notes. But
This is very true. Yeah, just Marty comes on and he's anything we're tasting is tasting notes, right? But we'll talk. Hang out for a second. We'll talk to you in a minute. Again, enjoy your rest of your week. Just enjoy the rest of the weekend. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
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 I still have some quad left.
I have a little bit of triple left, and that is all. There you go.
It's almost oh god, it's pulling. I'm starting to get isopropyl out of this now.
There you go. That happens.
Yeah, it's not good.
Anyway,
Add that to my list.
I will do that. Enjoy, folks. Cheers.